The Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings 2022, the Masters, final bets, DraftKings ownership, pivot plays, the weather, and of course, everyone's favorite time to get banned for life, the live chat, where you only ask good questions. Bad questions will get you mocked. Remember to subscribe to Mayo Media Network. That's the only way that you can ask your questions. So hit that sub button, share this around, and please get in that draw for the Masters swag if you haven't done it yet. All you need to do is subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast. Leave a 5-star review, something nice about the show, Twitter handle, and or email address so I can contact you. If you are a winner, Feinberg and I will be giving away those winners. There'll be 3 of you on next Monday's show, Masters Recap and the Heritage Bets and One and Done. Additionally, what else do we got on the go here? FantasyGolfChampionships.com. They keep pressing me on this. We're getting closer to making it full, so please go play in that right now. $100 to play. It's a one and done. Masters through the Open Championship. $10,000 to first place. So hit the description. Go into that right now. You can get 1 and up to 3 spots. And since the Listeners League is already full, that's probably where you should invest your money this week. 1 pick per week. You get text alerts. Take you less than 20 seconds a week. And big money to be won. FantasyGolfChampionships.com major season race for the Mayo Cup. Newsletter will come out this evening, and it will have all of the cheat sheets, all of the updated info, any news from Wednesdays that we miss on this show, and it's free to join, so please go do that as well. Tyler Tamboline from RunPureSports.com, host of the Fantasy Golf Degenerates podcast, is in studio with me. Do you wish it was Thursday yet?
Oh, I love it. This is my favorite event. I know it's cliche, but it is my favorite major. Everything about it. Happy to see the patrons back. Happy to have Tiger back. It's going to be exciting either way, but lots to get into. And I feel like, we started recording last Friday, and now it's up to Wednesday. It's like, how many shows can we do here? So getting to the final thoughts here as we speak.
I don't have my betting card finished as of yet because there's a couple things I want to run by you. I don't have any first-round leaders. I want to talk about the weather as it pertains to that just a little bit. But here's what I got going right now. The Masters betting cheat sheet, the full cheat sheet, will be available in the newsletter tonight. So come on, subscribe to it, all right? Smash the like while you're here as well. Colin Morikawa, I waited for that number to get a little bit better throughout the course of the week. I got it. Don't love the win, but I just like Morikawa. I want to go with a guy who's a winner, 25-1. Will Zalatoris, 40-1. Adam Scott, 70-1. The 2 bombs, see, Kim, who everyone is on this week, 100-1 with the top 8 each way. And my guy, Bobby Mack, Robert McIntyre, 125-1 with the top 8. I was able to cash out my 110 at close to full price and then put a bigger bet on the 125 and get those 8 places. So I'm in on that. Thomas Peters from before. That's only a top 5 each way, but that's 125-1. Tiger Woods to make the cut. Plus 120. That's down to minus 110 now. Would you still play it at minus 110?
I would, yeah. I feel like that's the free bet. You and I talk about it on here with different promotions and sites. They're not promoting it at all, but I just think it's like, hey, come on in. You can have this one. We'll take you on all the other long shots here.
To miss the cut parlay, Hideki plus answer pays 8.3-1. That is just a pure injury play on both these guys. Hopefully, I'm not playing either of them on DraftKings. So if they want to hit one shot, then withdraw, I am good with that. That would be fantastic news.
Yeah, I can do it. I hear what you're saying. I might substitute the same bet, but move Answer over to Casey. We'll talk more on that later, but maybe his back could just shoot back up with the spasms or something. Answer, I feel like he's kind of a little bit ready, posting mustache pics and everything. He's feeling good, I think.
So I've played 2 to make the cut parlays right now. One is an 11-player parlay. One is a 12-player parlay with Tiger on the back end of that plus 120. So it pays some pretty good odds. So here's what we got. Here are the 2. One is just without Tiger. One is with Tiger to make the cut. Zalatoris, Connors, Hatton, Henley, Rose, McIntyre, Fitzpatrick, Neiman, Scott, Leishman, Kim is one, and then plus Tiger is the other one. Pays pretty big odds.
I like it all. The one guy we'll talk about when we get into it, I'm sure. But Neiman being in there with Tiger, I don't know if that worries you if you made it before or after.
I made it before. Okay. I probably wouldn't include him on it now.
It may not phase the guy. We talked on Friday with Ben Raza and you and I on here together saying like Neiman's of that class that people are just dropping him out of it. I don't know. We'll see how he goes with the mess of the crowd that we have out there. But I feel like Louis O is a little safer in that group versus Neiman. We'll wait and see.
Well, when we get to the DraftKings ownership, I'm curious to talk about Neiman because this playing with Tiger has gotten everyone off of him.
Yeah.
So is it a buying opportunity on Neiman? I don't know if I want to bet him outright, but
Yeah, I definitely don't want to bet him, and I didn't love the number. I kind of liked it when we talked last Friday, but I do think it's just if you were going to play him before, I don't think it's a big enough reason. The sample sizes on it are extremely limited. There is guys that have come through with it. I think somebody pointed out last night, and I know we're switching back and forth, but Louis is in the group, but I think someone pointed out Louis played a couple times with Tiger, maybe even when he did win his major, Tiger was there, and then another time like a top 5 with Tiger in his group, so he's more than comfortable. If you think Neiman can do it, definitely a play on DraftKings.
So I got 2 more bets to make here, and I have it narrowed down. I've been writing about this in the newsletter every single night that I don't really know what to do. Heart says Brooks. I can get him up to 22-1 still. Everyone's on that bet though, right? Would that worry you? Because that worries me.
No, not so much in betting. There's always we've come through quite a few times actually. I think in this last year and a half maybe on community bets, if you will. So I think you can do it. It's obviously Brooks at a major. It's, again, does he show up or not? We'll have to wait and see. You can't really take anything into play of last year when he was on one leg. But at that number, 22, he definitely wins more than 1 in 22 majors. Just check the last few years. So I think it's a good bet.
Spieth 25-1. It's funny. I shouldn't have done that exercise on Monday or Sunday night, whatever it was. It's like, hey, let's start making cases for and against players. Like I didn't really want anything to do with Spieth. And then I wrote up all the pros that go into Jordan Spieth here. And I recall betting Jordan Spieth even when he was crappy at worse numbers than this. Comes in with an awesome... I just wish he sucked at Valero. I really do. For some reason, that's sucking me in.
It didn't change the number much, though. I think that's still a good number, like you said. So if you like it, I would personally go with Brooks just based on his history in majors. I can't get the Justin Ray stat out of my mind. I retweeted it today. Like it's like 98-28 or something of him over DJ for strokes gained. He just is different when it comes to these events, and he has shown some flashes lately where I think that's a good number at 22.
So now I have one in the mid-range, too, to go with Adam Scott. And I think I have it narrowed down to a few euros. Hatton, Lowry, or Fitzpatrick. Lowry makes the most sense, right?
Yes, and 2 of those 3 are on my card. I have Cantlay, who we talked about last Friday, and then right after that, I go to Lowry. I got at 50, and I didn't get this great Hatton number that everybody had at 95, but I'm still comfortable with it at 55.
I see it. I got a 65 in front of me right now.
I like that. Yeah, I think, again, especially with what we're talking about, we're going to get into weather in a moment, but you've got winds, things like that. Hatton just has a really good around the green game, and then you and I have been on this case the last few events that we've talked about him here in this very studio, where it was even in his overseas stuff, he had good form. He came back over to play on the PGA Tour, had some great finishes, great results in all kinds of different conditions. I think he makes sense here at that number.
Not seeing anything better than 50 on Lowry at the moment, unfortunately.
I like it.
I could have grabbed him at 60 earlier in the week and just didn't because it's me. I was like, no, that'll get better. No one will want Lowry. Turns out everyone wants to bet on Shane Lowry this week. No love for Fitz because he's going to be a popular DraftKings play.
Yeah, some people go the opposite route there, but I think he is a good value on DraftKings. So I'm not going to worry about that ownership. We've seen guys that are heavily owned at the Masters still come through. I think the price is pretty fair, even though there's pivots down there. But if you like the number, I prefer Lowry over all of them. And then the numbers that some people found on Hatton, and even your number you can still get, is pretty solid.
So would you go 50 on Lowry or 65 on Hatton?
I'm bigger on Lowry for sure this week.
All right. So I'll have that in the newsletter tonight. I think I'm doing Spieth. Spieth over Brooks. Screw it. Give me the 3 extra points. Give me Jordan Spieth. Give me weird weather and everything that comes along with that.
I could try and talk you one thing real quick. I had a tidbit on today, but the Spieth first round leader is basically the same number. He's like 3 of the last 5 years first round leader or something, or been in the mix. So I would highly recommend that over having to wait all the way to get there. Maybe you just hit it right on Thursday.
30-1 is Jordan Spieth, first round leader right now is
like
what I'm
that.
looking at. But I do want to talk about the first round leader market a little bit, but I want to talk about the weather first.
Yep.
Because I think that's something, it's going to be difficult to really parse because if you look at Thursday, it's going to be raining in the morning up until the first tee times, maybe a little bit into it. So the course should theoretically, even with the dry air system underneath all the fairways and greens, it should be a little bit softer, maybe a little bit more gettable, maybe a little bit slower. That's just me projecting. I don't actually know that because the winds all day aren't good. Like they're above 20 mile per hour gusts throughout the entire day. So it's not like the guys in the morning aren't playing in the wind and the guys in the afternoon are. So I don't think about that too much. But the soft course kind of sucks me in a little bit. Then on Friday, when you look at the weather, it's kind of the same thing. But the guys in the afternoon kind of get it worse because if you get on the course early, low winds, still gusts of 20 miles per hour, but then it gets up to like constant 16, over 30 mile per hour gusts when you get into the afternoon. So slight lean towards the PM AM. I don't know if I'm going to make any lineups that way, just because everyone's so condensed at the Masters. It's a small field. It's not like you're getting a huge wave adjustment. And realistically, when you look at it, the guys that would probably play in the best conditions, looking at the tee times, are probably the guys that you don't want anyway. Like the ones with the best tee times, 8 a.m. on Friday, are like Stuart Hellstad and Lucas Glover. And I guess my guy Bobby Mack is out there. Cam Davis, Bernhard Langer. Like they stack the waves for TV. So when people get home from work, they can watch Tiger on day one. They can watch Spieth and Dustin and Cantlay and Morikawa and Rahm on day two. So you're not really going to get a great draw for any of the good guys.
Yeah, you nailed it there with the TV thing as well. If you look just on Thursday, the PM wave, like the last 3 or 4 groups is like 12 or 16 of the best golfers. Like you can just go back and look. So I think that's interesting. I think the other thing you said too, like I've looked at stacking the PMM waves and I'm going to do some of it, but what I'm mainly doing is just taking the values from there and then taking whatever the studs are, even though their times are technically later, because like you said, if you were stacking it currently on the best tee times, you'd probably have to leave about $5,000 on the table and play a bunch of scrubs, which I definitely don't think is the case of what you should be doing here.
So I misspoke on yesterday's show with Rick, mixing up Jose Maria Olazabal with Miguel Angel Jimenez. My apologies for that one. I think he was the last guy to miss a cut before coming in and winning the Masters. That would be the Rory situation this week. But if I am going to target guys out early on Thursday, I don't know if that's a proper strategy, but I want to run a couple of these names by you here. Higo is out pretty early on Thursday. Just play that left-hander type stuff. Maybe that can come through. Swafford and Cam Young are both out there pretty early. I mean, not early, like 8:40 a.m. Other than that, Si Woo is out there early. Harmon is out there early. That's really it before you get to like the 9:30 tee times, and that seems to be past the point of when there's going to be any sort of advantage, I would think.
Yeah, I think I would like that Harmon play. I think that could be interesting because if you look at the fact that what he can do, he can find that hot putter early on. I could easily see a board where Harmon's 4 under to start the week and everyone's like, oh, here we go again. And then on DraftKings, of course, he's $6,800. So everyone fired up for that. Your Higo play, I know you like him, so I wouldn't hate that one. The guy I like is actually a little later. And I think like you said, I think the morning is the area to target for the first round leader. Saw a stat on that, a little trend, if you will. I think it was 9 of the last 10 years. But just looking at it in general, Fleetwood was the guy that we talked about on Thursday. I think he's 10-13 or somewhere in that range. Early enough for me, and he has actually been really good on the Thursday-Friday runs at the Masters, not so good on the weekend. So let's just get the money with him on Thursday.
So there seems to be 3 guys that everyone is gravitating towards, because you mentioned the Spieth, how often he's first-round leader at this course. Justin Rose is another one who is just continuously a first-round leader, and everyone I've seen so far this week is betting Fleetwood first-round leader. I don't know what to do with them. I kind of want to bet all of them. I kind of want to bet none of them.
Numbers-wise, I think a couple things. We talked about the Spieth one. That's different, but just at 30, that's an incredible number when you think about the whole thing. Just try and get it done early on and focus on the rest from there. But Fleetwood's 60. I don't know what number you still have on him. I think at 60, that's a pretty good number for a guy that can go out and definitely lead this thing after one. That I'm much more interested in that than it's like the opposite effect of Spieth than trying to find a number on Fleetwood to win the thing. I don't think he's winning. And if you want to play him and get some action on him, he's great at 7,700 on DraftKings. But that 60-1 for first-round leader, I think, stands out for me, and I'm definitely in on that.
Yeah, 55-1 now because it's going to continue to be a really popular play. The odds keep shrinking for it. Don't love that. So I'll have those tonight. I'm thinking Harmon, Young, Higo, Bobby Mack.
Yeah, I like
go
the
with
Bobby
the morning.
Mack one too.
Go with the morning. I'm playing so much Bobby Mack this week.
We'll talk about him.
Silly. He's going to come in last place, but I lose money every week anyway. What's the difference?
He doesn't come in last place really ever. That's the difference. But I don't know if as many people want to go there because of your aforementioned Cam Young. That's going to be the conversation later when they're both sitting at 7,000 on DraftKings. But for your first round leader bet, you can bet both. And one of them could definitely find their way to the top.
Well, let's talk DraftKings ownership then, because it does seem like Justin Thomas is going to be the highest owned player on the slate. There's been different names bandied about the entire week of who's it going to be. And we kind of have the 5 guys that we all feel pretty comfortable with in terms of being the highest owned, at least projecting it out that way. So Justin Thomas, I think Brooks is going to get there. I think Rahm is going to get there. Cameron Smith will get there. And then it starts getting a little bit trickier. Connors, I don't know what to do with because every day I check back, fewer and fewer people are playing Corey Connors because he was identified as the chalk a week ago when the pricing came out. Is he becoming that guy that everyone just said, well, I don't want to play chalky Corey Connors? All of a sudden we look, he's 12% owned.
Don't think it backtracks that far. My thing that I think is almost identical, but I think it's like 25% Corey Connors is backtracking to 18 to 20% Corey Connors, and therefore there still is leverage opportunities. I do think you're right. I think the numbers are starting at a much higher number and coming backwards from there.
Zalatoris will be popular.
Yeah.
Siwoo Kim is going to, you talk about Young versus McIntyre. Siwoo Kim is now just soaking up all that ownership, which is, I can't believe people aren't terrified. As someone who does this every week with Siwoo, people don't seem to be scared of this whatsoever. I don't get it.
Yeah, Siwoo and even the guy at the same price tag, Max Homa, it seems like, there's just enough talk of it going around. And both of those guys, like, I get this stuff with Siwoo. At least we have some history to go off of. We know the upsides there. He is younger. He's won big tournaments, all these factors. But it is interesting when you look how deep and wide that range is of guys that we can play that have actual upside and can score well on DraftKings. And he's the one that's being pegged out.
Looking at it now, the lowest owned, and projection sites have this really weird. I don't think that Scheffler and Morikawa are the two. Hovland you can probably throw into the mix as well. Those three guys, if you feel good about one of them, I think that's your leverage point above $10,000. One of those three.
It feels to me like Scheffler and Hovland. Like Morikawa, at least some people are still trying to work their way onto him, like especially because JT, kind of the Corey Connors situation where I think as we get to today, which we're here, people are saying, oh, JT is going to be the highest owned now. Maybe I should look to do something. I think you're okay with it. Just play the guy you want to play up there. But because Morikawa is right below him, because Morikawa has been winning majors and WGCs and is basically a similar ball striker that just needs to find a putter, I think more people are leaning there. Hovland, completely unowned, and Scheffler with Rahm, DJ, JT, everybody. It's just tough to imagine him being over 10, maybe 12%. We'll see. I don't know.
I'm thinking about working Hovland into the mix here. I'm going with Rahm and Morikawa. Those are my two guys above $10,000, building lineups around them. I might throw just something else in that has a few Vic shares because everyone has now talked themselves off of Vic because the guy can't chip. Well, he can still ball strike better than almost anyone.
Yeah, I think it's because the wind too, right? They were a little bit more, and I know there's some stats out there to say like some of his wins didn't have shot tracker, and he obviously chipped well at those events enough to win the event, and all these factors that go in with it at 10-1, and I understand it, but it's just really tough, man. You got to make your choices. There's 7 guys up in that range. JT, Rahm. I've talked myself with your bet and everything into a little bit of the Morikawa situation that I sort of just described. So I'm okay going there. And then I've got a little DJ as well. It's kind of worrisome, but at 10-5, I'll take some chances.
Hearing rumors about Dustin Johnson and Rory McIlroy that maybe not in the best headspace right now coming into this event. That's a little local knowledge that got passed on to me. I don't know how much to believe it, but not in a great spot at the moment.
And we could see it. I don't know how Rory could be in a good headspace after even missing the cut at Valero. I don't care if you care about that event or not. The point would be you went there, you skipped a match play to get ready and primed for an event you're trying to win the career Grand Slam at. Now, on the other side of that, I was going to ask you this. Tiger news. Bryson with injuries. Bryson with Phil gone dark. You've got Casey, Answer, Hideki, all these other injuries. Hideki's menu. There's very little in the headlines right now about Rory's Grand Slam. Is that the perfect storm for him coming in to just take it down? Mental headspace aside, I don't know. It's at 10,000 though. He is right there, and you got Cam Smith right underneath, getting plenty of ownership. Brooks, who you mentioned, Jordan Spieth, all those guys.
Schauffele as well. Mm-hmm. Schauffele, no matter what you see for the projection of Xander Schauffele, it's gonna be higher. Yeah. It always is. And even though everyone is gravitating towards Brooks, and Zalatoris is likely to be pretty popular, like 13 to 16%, I would say, down near the bottom, that leaves Cantlay, owned but not super owned. No one's playing Hideki. No one's playing Bryson. I'm not playing either of them either.
Yeah, I've come around completely on, just if I was even going to use them in like the $15 or something, neither. If they beat me, they beat me. The defending champion thing too has been real for a very long time. And at 9,300, you still have to have them do something here. There's just way too many other guys in this range that I can play.
That leads us to the 8s, where the Millie Maker is going to be one, I think. Can you pick the guy here that everyone else is off that is going to do it? I mean, we'll start from 9,000 to 8,000 because the two players in particular I wanted to ask you about. One is Daniel Berger, two is Sung Jae. One of those two guys I feel is critical to people's lineups here. I feel better about Berger, but obviously he's way more expensive. And right now, Sung Jae's projected ownership's like 5%, but he's in between Tiger, Adam Scott, Neiman, Finau, and Hatton, all who project in double digits.
Yeah, it makes it tough, and we have the Tiger thing going on as well, because I think, based on all the reports, Tiger's going to get ownership too. I like your call there. The one thing that worries me about Berger, I am playing him some, but at 9,000, is when he's played in these stronger fields, he's like a top 20, a top 25. Now, he has become a little bit better golfer, so maybe that changes here. I have heard some guys that have been down there before the cutoff yesterday for the rain delay that are at the practice rounds watching Berger play, saying he looks incredible out there. Everything's working with his game. Again, a little rumor, but who knows? But I actually think it's a different guy. I like the M take. I think that could definitely be it. But we talked a little bit about Burns the other day.
I like Burns. I'm playing Burns.
Yeah, I think he's just too good, man. I don't know if you saw the Scotty Scheffler interview yesterday with like the super dad laugh. Like we always make fun of how old he looks already, but he's on there basically laughing at his own jokes, saying he was playing cards with Sam Burns. He's saying Sam Burns was whipping his ass out on the course all week in practice, but he was beating him in the card game. Like, Scotty, get your head on right here. You got to get your head in the game for the Masters, buddy, if you want that green jacket. Burns looks good. And then the other guy, Louis, we talked about him. I've mentioned him a couple times. I've come around on it. Like, I always used to play this guy at 8K and majors when nobody else would. Everyone started hopping on him this last year or so and doing it, and now nobody wants anything to do with him, and he's 8,900. I don't really care the fact that he's in Tiger's group, anything like that, like I mentioned. I think he's a good enough player here to be able to shine through. Obviously, we know what he could be in majors, and he still is a major champion, but he could have a lot more. I think we could see something here out of him at 8,900.
I'm still using Adam Scott more than any of these guys, but pairing up a little bit of Burns, a little bit of Lowry, although Lowry's going to have some ownership along with him, and maybe a little bit of Louis or Berger, I think is the way that I want to play that 8K range. In the sevens, Henley, Connors, Siwoo, and then you can make cases for other guys with ownership. Those are the three that are really, and Fitzpatrick, are really coming through. And I'm playing Fitzpatrick, thinking about playing Connors, fading Henley. I don't know what to do with Siwoo.
I'm struggling with him. I really am. I liked him a lot coming in, but like you said, just when you've got I never want to fade a guy just because of ownership, but it is still Siwoo we're talking about. And you introed it best. Like, this is a guy that you know well and clear. Anyone following your stuff and watching this show has followed you for years, knows what you go through with a guy like this. And sure, take on some boom bust risk reward going into this type of tournament, but at the same time, look at the range that's around him. You mentioned Bobby Mack, Cam Young. You can go above Seamus Power, Leishman, Bubba Watson. I
don't want Bubba. I don't want Seamus. Leishman's cursed. Don't want him. Don't want Reed. Don't want Horschel. Then that gets us up to like Rose, Webb, and Casey. I don't really want to play those guys either.
So I think that makes your decision a little bit easier then. You got to just feel comfortable because you're obviously getting different elsewhere. I mean, this range only has 20 guys in it. You named about 10 you don't want, so I'm sure you're either more comfortable with the 6K range or, like you said, and I like your call, the 8K range could be where these milli makers are won on DraftKings, so that's where you can get a little bit more aggressive. I know guys that are fully skipping it, and even when Ben was here, he mentioned on the broadcast about going 2 studs, which would also be skipping 9 and 8K and dropping down. So you're getting different just by going into that 8K range instead.
My pool right now is at the very bottom. It consists of Siwoo, McIntyre, Young, and List. Those 4 guys. Probably need to drop 1 because I'm only playing 50 lineup, so maybe I could get away with that because there's not a lot in the 6s that I like at all.
Yeah.
Like, I'm playing Champ because that's fun. I'm going to play a little bit of Higo. Peter seems like he's getting a bunch of steam here. Maybe I'll just turn to Kevin Na. Old, reliable Kevin Na. Harmon's actually drawing some ownership too. We thought it would be Kisner. It's Harmon.
Yeah, it ends up being Harmon, and even Na, actually be surprised. A lot of the conversations this last day or so have been around Na because of wind, how strong his around the green game is, and he can almost go, like, people are comparing this weather in some cases to Zach Johnson's year. That's Kevin Na. I don't think it's the same, I was just going to say, but I think that's what people are envisioning now for Kevin Na, is he can just lay up, get it up close. If he's not on the green, he can use that elite short game, and then we know he wants to walk in putts. So I don't know what your thoughts are on all that, but like Harmon and Na seem similar in that sense, and they're both going to sort of pull away from Kevin Kisner.
I mean, isn't Bezadenhout basically the same guy too?
Yeah.
Like on a downgraded level. But if that's the skill set that we're playing, guys who are great from like 125 and in, great short game, great putters, wouldn't he fit that mold too?
Yeah, he does, actually. You just right there, like I said, just skip off that range completely, drop down to a guy like him where he's just above Peters, but just below. Like, I think that's actually a really good squeeze play. That's why we do these shows. I think that's... I call it a squeeze play because he's in the middle of the $6,800 guys people are deciding on. And then, like you said, Peter's getting some ownership down below. People are taking shots on Straka, Cam Champ.
Fewer people. I'm going to add Cam Champ to my first round leader list. When I put out this morning, who do you like as first round leader? I think 75% of the answers were Seb Straka.
Yeah, I think he's got that tee time to what you liked there. Maybe Champ does too. I don't know.
He does not.
But...
I need someone to root for in the afternoon after all my guys in the morning flame out.
Yeah, Straka's 8:20. Like, he's first. He's not first off, but he's out there very early to your time that works. So that's where Straka's coming from.
So is it going to be like a group Straka bet here? first round leader? That's the move?
I think it's going to be a group Straka bet. I don't think it's going to be one that comes through. I mean, good for the number and for the bet. I get why it makes sense, but that would be the one I'd be more scared about.
Will you use any Cam Champ?
No.
Why not?
Actually, I lied. In the $100 Millie Maker, I built some hand-build bomber lineups the other day, and he did make those lineups. And sadly and sickly enough, another guy that made them was Matthew Wolf. And I think this is dead money. But in something like the $100, there's 29,000 entrants. I'm more okay with like building 2 or 3 lineups that are the same core. And Ben does this all the time. He sort of brought it into play that you can't really correlate in golf besides like weather stacks, but you can the way he does it if you go stat stacks and you just all bombers or all approach guys all around the green game, whatever it might be. And so I did get Cam Champ into some of those.
This is my favorite pairing, or like favorite group of the first few days. List, Wolf, and Mackenzie Hughes.
Yeah.
Can they just merge into one player?
They'd be very good.
Or could List and Hughes just play as a team or something like that?
They would be very good if they did. Did you have thoughts on Mackenzie Hughes? We briefly mentioned him and made fun of him the other day. I did, about the Canadian Jordan Spieth factor. But at 6,300, doesn't look like as many are going there. Like, people might mention him, but I always say that they'll talk about him, but will they click the button? The thing that interests me more about him, Pat, and then I'll let you go, just the thought of the scoring, right? You know, everyone keeps saying the fact. You need to get guys in the top 20. Well, a guy like Mackenzie Hughes could finish 30th, but then have an eagle on there because he dropped a 40-foot bomb like he always does, or chipped in off the green for an eagle or something like that, where that just boosts his scoring that much more. And what if it propels him to a top 20? He's just 6,300, and we've seen him do it before.
As weird as this sounds, I think if I was going to go down, I'm going to play Higo at 63. I wouldn't recommend other people do that, but I think I'd rather go Charles over Hughes. Just when you look at the like overall putting numbers from the Masters, that's how Charles does it. He just makes putts everywhere at Augusta National. Yeah. And he's been bad. But so was Hughes.
None of them really been that good, to your point. So I agree there. It's just more of, like you said, I think it's seeing the upside. Schwartzel, if he shows up and finds that putter, he definitely could come through. But I just can't think of any time he's been doing anything lately.
Harman, Young, Higo, Bobby Mack, Champ, Straka, 6 first-round leader, bombs.
Cancel Straka and do Spieth, please.
Yeah, but that's so much more money.
Doesn't matter. You're still getting 30. That's a good number.
It's an all right number.
It's a good number for Spieth and for a guy that's actually done it 3 times in like the last 5 or 6 years.
Do you have any thoughts on Hoagie? Because the stats love Hoagie.
2 guys, actually, the stats love, and I want to talk about it because he is one of them. And then List was the other.
I'm playing List, 100%. So not 100% of lineups, but I am definitely in on playing Luke List.
I think I'm playing Hoagie. My challenge with List was the hometown narrative, sleep in your own bed, all this. We've seen it with other guys. Rory at the Open, Fleetwood at his Open, like all these events where people go.
But those guys were expected to win.
True.
Those weeks and like really perform. No one gives a shit about Luke List.
Yeah, that is very true. He does still worry me a little bit, but Hoagie, I do have some interest in. He's basically like JJ Spawn. Last week was the example I used last night on one of the shows I was doing, where he's the same price, actually, 6,700. They, by the way, brought Spawn back into this field at the same price as last week, which is fair. But Hoagie is that price with the Fantasy National stats popper, and he's got the capability. He's having a great season. He's already had some magic. Maybe he can find it here.
You know how stupid I feel for not being on the JJ Spawn outright bet last week?
Yeah.
When we looked at it, we looked at everything. It's like, man, he looks great coming in. There's no way JJ Spawn's going to win, right? And it's like, no, of course not.
Talked about him plenty, saw the number. Kenny liked him, a couple other people I talked to, and I did not put the bet in.
No. Well, I think that's... Oh, you want to do Finau.
Yeah.
Give me your Finau take here.
Well, I think he's good. I think more I came around on him. Like the ownership everywhere, and I know it's wonky in some places, but nobody seems to be willing to put him over 15%. And to me, that just is odd. Like, I thought at the start of the week, for sure, people would go to, maybe they are finally just done with him, and this is probably not the place to be done with him. And the course that he does the best on, even on a turned ankle, he came top 10. His history is good here. We know it's a course history spot. The price is fair, and it allows you to do other things. Like, if you had those 2 studs up top, you could still make Finau your third, and then pick up in the same range that most people are while skipping the 9 and 8K range. A lot of different constructions you can do with them there at 8,100.
FantasyNational.com/Mayo will get you 20% off. I included this in the newsletter last night. The best players since the beginning of 2019 on a per round basis in 17 mile per hour and over wins. Tony Finau has the most strokes gained total of anyone. It's Finau, Lowry, Cantlay, Will Zalatoris, Justin Thomas. Those are the top 5 players by that metric over the past 50 rounds. Most guys have max 20 rounds kind of thing. But I want to go back 4 seasons. See what we get. You can always shrink that sample if you remember. Search it any way you want. But I just thought didn't like that. All the win does make me nervous about Morikawa. It really does. But he can figure it out. Eventually, these guys figure it out.
Think about Morikawa. It's a whole nother level. Opposite of Hoagie and the list thing with the hometown thing, and he wasn't expected to win. Morikawa's not expected to win, but the guy was at the Open saying his game was off. He had 3 days to fix it, and then goes out and wins the Open. He's played here a couple times. I think he can find it and go out and win the Masters. It is possible, so I like your bet. That's why I brought him in. Last thing on Finau is just, don't you think, too, with anybody that was going with Niemann, like Niemann was almost like the guy that was going to be the sneaky guy, but maybe not, where he was going to still be like 12 to 15%, and now with the Tiger grouping, I wonder if people just knock down that $100 and get to Finau, and we start to see him inflate even more as we get to lock.
I don't know if this is actually going to get people off Niemann.
Yeah. I feel like it will. It just feels like the conversation is too heavy on it right now. I don't think it gets them off anything else, but I do feel like with Niemann, it's worrying people. And that, to me, if his ownership is coming down, it makes me like him just a little bit more, because I already liked him, and now you're telling me just because of a crowd, he's not going to be able to pull it off. Like, it's definitely a different crowd than these guys are used to seeing, but I still think he's capable, and he's a good golfer.
Does Tiger's ownership go up or down depending on stakes? I would assume it goes down.
It definitely goes down on stakes. So I was thinking about what you're mentioning. Yeah, like you go to the 888 or you go up to the high mega milli, it's definitely going to be lower there, because that's where people are just accustomed to saying there's no chance. It was this way even way back in 19 when he won. He was not owned very much anywhere, but he still was higher owned in the lower dollar stakes because the casual players are in there just taking a shot on him, and they think it's a chance he comes back.
You should just, even my group chat last night among my they're only going to watch the Masters this year.
Right.
They all talked about putting in Tiger bets.
Yeah. The bets, for sure. I think that one's, like I said, it feels almost like, but that's the other side of the bets, Pat. Like, I know I said it earlier, like the promotional thing. I feel like it's that without actually being a promo. But also, did you see some of like the first round leader numbers? Like, he's like 74.5 is the number to beat. Like, I don't know. The books are like confident in one way and then not in the other. I don't know what they're doing with it exactly, but they definitely want to draw us in.
Well, the biggest thing, like even when you compare, like some of the sites lay everything out with winner, top 5, top 10, top 20, whatever, all listed next to each other. Tiger's odds for top 5, top 10, and top 20 do not match his outright price whatsoever. So they're sucking people in with the outright price because that's what people want to go bet. Tiger's going to win. I'll bet on Tiger to win.
Yeah.
But the other odds actually seem a lot more realistic.
Yeah, I agree. And you think back to when he won in 19, you remember the story going around Twitter, the guy that brought the whole briefcase in and dropped the big bet on Tiger, got it. And then I think he gave a bunch of it back on futures bets beyond that, betting on Tiger to win like every major after the fact. But it makes sense. People want to bet Tiger to win. And I've even seen him boosted. And usually a boost is a bad sign, but we'll see.
Unless Scotty Scheffler has been the boost this year.
Yes.
Every time Scheffler has been boosted at some of these sites, he's won. So take that for what it is.
Books have less faith, I guess, but he's doing the job and punishing them.
So Tiger ownership in the $15 Millionaire Maker, over under 10.5%.
Over.
Really?
I think I was going to say range 10 to 12, so I'm going to go over when it's 10.5. That's just what I think.
$100 Millie Maker.
I think it's less, 8.
Are you going to play him?
I have a couple hedge lineups where I basically just took all my core plays of the week. Like at Run Pure Sports, I do core plays and tiers and things like that. I took Tiger and just filled the core in around it. And if I've got 5 lineups with a minute, then so be it. But nothing like that, and not playing him at all in my 150 set.
All right. Reminder to everyone out there, if you want to get in on some of that Masters swag, the giveaway, subscribe, rate, and review the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast, specifically on Apple Podcasts, because they let you leave reviews. I can check the Spotify ones, but no one can ever really seem to figure out how to do those. So, leave the ratings on Spotify as well. If you can figure out how to do the Apple one, do that too. It only helps. Erase all the episodes from this week and go download them again. Stuff like that. As we're making the push, Tambo, to try to become the number 1 here. We're up to like number 3 or number 2 in most countries in terms of golf betting, fantasy sports. I'd like to have, I haven't had the number 1 ranking in 6 years at any point, but number 2 plenty of times.
Yeah.
And the fantasy footballers just kill me.
Oh, it's always that way.
Fucking Mike.
I'm with you, though. I hate losing more than I like winning, so I would like to get to number 1 with you here.
All right. See, that'd be nice. People really enjoyed this one, too. This is a new brand. It's like in football season, Cam Pizzola, people really like that show. People really like this show on Wednesdays. And it's making me better. I'm winning more money on DraftKings, so that's good news. Yeah. I actually haven't made, besides like a few hand-built lineups, I haven't made my lineups yet. You don't do that until like later.
No,
evening.
tonight. Like people ask me, how many you got in your pool? Don't know. Like I have 2 more shows. I said when I get to the end of the night, I'll have the final numbers and I'll put them out there. But the $15 is like 315,000 people this week. And basically I'm going to have probably 30 to 35 guys I'll condense it down to, and that's it. And then I'll just get as much, I'll move my exposures around to how I want to build them out, but that's how it's going to go.
I have 20 players right now for 50 lineups, and I still might condense that down a little bit. And I know that there's a couple guys that I'm going to have like 5, maybe 10% ownership on. So I kind of took your advice on this. These strong fields, just make a stand and go with your guys and be wildly overweight on them. If you win, it's going to be good.
Yeah.
If you lose, you're probably going to lose it all.
You're going to lose most weeks. That's what people never seem to realize in PGA DFS. Like you lose all the time, so you may as well try and be really right when you do have that one good week. You just don't know when it's going to be, and of course, you hope it's going to be a week like the Masters when there's $1 million up top.
So, fantasynational.com/Mayo to get yourself 20% off if you want to go generate those lineups very easily and pick your own player pool for that. Should mention that if you're like out of golf by like Thursday afternoon, Run Pure Sports is going to be live on Mayo Media Network Thursday night, Friday night, not Saturday night. But Thursday night and Saturday night, you can go ask your questions. Thursday and Friday night, you can go ask your questions on Mayo Media Network. Tambo's going to be on one of those shows. And Big T might stop in. Who knows? But it's going to be a live show for Showdown the next day. Additionally, me, Cust, and Jeff are going to be sweating the cut. I'm going to come up with the time for that on Thursday once I see how late in the day it actually goes. So the Cut Sweat Show is going to be back all on Mayo Media Network. Subscribe to that right now, because if you're not subscribed, you can't ask a question in the chat. And you probably want to get your questions asked in the chat, so I would highly recommend it. Final thing, too, if you're completely out on golf by Friday night, F1 is back this week. RunTheSims.com has free projections up for F1 right now. So if you want to get in on the DraftKings side of that, the head-to-head betting side of it, Justin's running over 10,000 simulations of the race, and he cleaned up the first week he tried this. So the projections are working for him. I think there might be a lineup generator up there too. I'm not sure, but it's completely free over at RunTheSims.com. You just need to put in an email, and boom, you can download all the projections you need. So I highly recommend you go check that out, because I do think that's a very beatable market. Dogger Pass Podcast is going to be up on Wednesday evening too, for everyone who wants to bet the giant UFC card this week. So we got a ton going on in terms of tools, in terms of shows, in terms of picks. So please go support Mayo Media Network and check all of that out. The chat. You ready for good questions or bad questions?
Only good questions. Otherwise,
banned for life. Yes. I got an easy band finger going on right now.
All
so
right.
we'll see how this goes. Kyle got into the chat first. He says, just pooling around. Please pick one from of these. I wish I would have said no tiers questions. I fucking hate these. You're playing at a Masters pool. Make your own fucking picks.
yeah, and there's a lot of them, and like
And they're all different.
Yeah, they're all set up differently. I get a lot of those DMs throughout the week. I'm in this pool with my buddies, and I really want to be them, my work friends. It's like, here we go.
Honest to God, just go to the odds board and take the guy with the highest odds in each one.
You can
That usually works.
against the people you're playing
Yeah.
against, most likely, yes.
Yeah, 'cause
you're not
they're-
in this bubble that we're in. You're beating your work friends. You can pretty much just do that and be all set.
Yeah, like they're going to take Fred Couples.
Or be a contrarian. Like someone's like, oh, should I take Tiger? Because everyone's going to take Tiger. No, it's exactly why you don't take Tiger, because everyone else is going to take him, and that's how you find your difference.
From off screen, Paul Shaughnessy.
Fade Tiger.
Fade Tiger in your pools.
My group chat is filled with these exact types of pools, and all my buddies are like, I'm betting Tiger.
Yeah, fade Tiger in any pool. But here's the one, because I didn't put in that provision. Pick one from this tier. Ready for the rankings? You ready?
Oh, gosh.
Henley, Wolf, Young, or Fleetwood?
I'll go with Young.
I'll go with Henley.
Yeah, Henley's probably a better play, but I think Young just has the upside. Go with him.
List, Rose, Hughes, Straka, Tiger, or Champ. I would take List.
Yeah, that's where I actually would take List. I just don't like the rest of the group, so
Yeah.
I'd give it a shot there.
Pat, who are some golfers that you feel are better bets than DFS plays this week? And where do you see ownership landing on Victor Hovland? Siwoo's probably a better bet than DFS play. Mm-hmm. Or maybe not. He's a really good price. Brooks might be a better bet than DFS play.
Yeah, usually it's...
I mean, if they win, they're a great DFS
yeah, it's usually
play.
just correlated to the ownership percentage. If he's going to be heavily owned on DraftKings, you're not really getting any advantage necessarily going there unless you get leverage and go way overweight, but you could just bet him at 22-1 where that number sounds pretty good. So I would say Brooks fits that pretty well.
In the big $15 Millie Maker on DraftKings, I think Vic comes in at 8%.
That's where I would have said 8 to 10. So that was my range.
Because every you can go back and look at Sky's numbers on this for the ownership at the Masters. Like, guys start getting to extremes the closer that we get. So if it looks like they're going to be a bit lower owned than everyone else, turns out they end up being like 3-4 points lower than you think that they're going to be. And the higher guys end up going the other way.
Yeah, and just range it out. Like Scotty and Vic, 8 to 12. Like that's where I'm saying, oh, if he's 12, he's not actually that good of a deal. I wanted him to be 8. No, you're either playing him or you're not. JT is 20 plus. Rom is 20-ish. Like that, you know what you're going up against here.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. You don't need to fade all the chalk. And in fact, you should try to embrace some of the chalk at the Masters. There's a reason at the Masters, the course with the most predictive course history. The same guys pop up every year.
Yeah. I mean, last year when Decky won, I think I saw the number. I can't remember if it was in the $20 or the $100, but there was like a 38% owned Spieth and a 36% owned Casey or something. And then Decky was in there at like 9.8% because he's the guy that breaks all the trends coming in.
How much was he last year? 88?
I'd have to look it up. It was...
was it low 9s or high 8s?
I thought it was low 9s, but it might have been high 8s now that you said it. It might have been 88 or 8,600.
That's the Reed range when he won. Willett was 8,300 the year that he won.
Sam Burns, 8,600. Sung J M, 8,400. Or Tiger, 8,500.
Tiger.
Fade Tiger, right, Paul?
The books are out of business of Books are out of business if Tiger wins. I looked at the handle this morning. He's the most bet on guy by far. It's Brooks, Scheffler, and Tiger way above everyone else in terms of handle, in terms of tickets, everything.
This is what I'm saying, though. Like, why it makes no sense. Because don't forget, people were putting in these 80s and 60s back when it first was even a chance. Now we got to this week, and they didn't go and change the numbers. They're still letting it roll in at 50, 60, no problem.
Cash, 2v2. Who do you guys prefer? Do you like Rose and Young or Fitz and EVR? Probably go Rose and Young. I like Fitz the best of all those guys.
I think they're both horrible, but Fitz is the best. Fitz is a great cash play. And then you could go whoever, but I wouldn't put EVR. Like I would do like Fitz and Harmon,
Champ.
Or no, but I'm saying for cash. They just want to play
Peters. Then
they want to get the safety in there, then go for it. But that's why I don't like cash at all because I just want to play to win.
You worried about Usti?
I'm not.
I'm not either.
I'm not at all.
JT or Morikawa? I'm going Morikawa.
I'm heavier on JT, but my guy Big T is off him, so we're gonna have that conversation tonight at Rumpier. I think Morikawa is interesting at 10-2.
Russell Henley has a very solid history at Le Masters, en français. However, he hasn't played here in 4 years. Is it safe to consider this history, or do we throw it out due to the length of time? No, I think that's one of the reasons that Henley is priced at where he's at. The stats obviously check out, as they do every single week for him, and he has this history of being pretty good at the Masters when he ends up playing. That's why he's going to be like 17 to 18% owned.
Yeah, he might be one of those guys though that you want to have in there. A lot of 15 to 20% guys can come through.
Well, how about this? Would you rather go Connors or Henley? I'd rather play Connors.
I would rather play Henley. Yeah, I've struggled more with Connors because Connors stuff is based off of a little bit of recent form. Henley has the same, but the thing about Connors is mostly just based on last year, his great finish year, and he had other good finishes.
He has two good finishes. He's never missed the cut here. And one of them, he qualified at Valero and just played the next week and still performed pretty well.
Yeah, the Monday cue into the Valero gets in and does the job. But like Henley's history is from 4 years ago, but I think it's 4 made cuts, a bunch of top 20s. Like he's still capable. Georgia boy, like I don't know. I feel better about Henley actually than Connors personally.
Weirdly, I think if we're thinking about the mean performance here of like trying to get a top 20, you might be right about Henley. Not that I think that Connors is going to win. I'm not betting him to win. But if you told me one of those two guys won, the answer would be Corey Connors.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
Like the upside potential. Like if he just putts well, it's like, oh boy.
Yeah, one thing that worries me, and it worries me with all these guys, and so the questions are going to be asked, so it still ties in, but like the Will Zalatoris's, the Corey Connors types, where Luke List, even these ball strikers.
Yeah, but Zalatoris isn't on their level of bad putting. He's just not.
No, it's not even the putter that worries me, actually. It's if the wind is this serious over the 2 days and causes issues where they're not hitting every green like we're used to, which they should be able to. They're better ball strikers.
Not a problem for List.
Yeah.
List, one of the best short game players on tour.
Yeah.
But can he make those 4-foot putts? That's to be seen.
They all have their issues. I do worry about this around the green stuff a little bit more for a guy like Connors. Whatever they're capable of, sure, they're all good players. But I do think that matters more, that everyone's just locking them in for 16 out of 18 greens in regulation in their mind. It's just not going to happen.
If I start my pool with Vic at 10.1, am I already unique enough that I can take on Brooks and Xander without having to worry about too much ownership in the 8s and below? I would say yes.
Absolutely.
Because most people will just go, if they're going to go like that route, they'll just go Brooks, then Xander, like together, and not use Vic.
Not to mention, they're starting their pool there. It means they're not playing JT, DJ, Rom, Scheffler, anybody, Kawa. They're not playing anyone up there.
Any idea why the betting odds at the top of the board didn't move much? I mean, I think they were pretty settled in. And Morikawa has fallen a little bit. Brooks has moved up a little bit. I've been seeing guys fall. Even Rahm's fallen a little bit because they weren't taking enough action.
There wasn't much of a reset this year of what you're used to, but I also think we've seen this even at the Players. It happened a little bit where the odds are a little bit more stagnant coming in, where they're just scattering them evenly versus giving us those big gaps that we're used to seeing in the past years. So that's why I don't think you're going to see a big swing. You might get 2 points this way, 3 points that way, but you don't see like 10 or 15 point jumps usually.
There's still time on this stuff too.
Yeah.
If they're really not taking money, like the biggest slider's been Bryson. You can get him as low as like 60-1 now, which is insane. It's not insane. It's probably right, but it's just crazy to think that he was 25-1 last week. Now he's more than double that number, coming in at 80%. I don't want a big
number. I don't want it, but that's a big number.
Who else? Hovland's fallen a bit. Morikawa's fallen down the board a bit. Cantley and Xander have stayed right around where they came into the week. Lowry's moved up. Connors has moved up. Fitzpatrick has moved up. The crazy thing is Berger hasn't moved an inch. He's just 40-1.
Sounds about right.
And I know no one has bet him.
Yeah, nobody I know at least has been talking about betting him or even playing him at 9K going back to DraftKings.
Fantasy National Course Breakdown shows us greens and regulation and three-putt avoidance are important. It's important in a lot of places. Seb Straka is good in these two metrics, but lacks in the others, such as approach. Are you comfortable with him this week? I was going to play Straka before literally every single person on my timeline told me they were playing Straka. He might be like 9, 10, 11% owned.
Yeah, he's definitely getting talked about. Like I said,
Georgia Bulldog as well.
Yeah, forgot about that. I don't know. I'm a little bit off the board there, but not with Peters at all. But I do like Peters. But Varner, we didn't talk about. I mentioned him the other day. I'm taking a shot on Varner here this week too, in the $15 especially. Like I just don't think anyone's going to go there, and he's a guy I think can definitely get you a top 20, top 10, and score well.
What is his tee time? Where's Varner at? Where are we seeing? Do you see him out there? Harold Varner's afternoon
yeah.
with Sergio and Peters. What a great Sergio, Peters, and Varner.
The thing about that though is what if that ends up working out? Like you said, we could get our players PM AM flop leg.
True.
And it ends up coming through here, and some of these guys in the PM that nobody's on. Like I can definitely see that, and I just think at 6,600.
I got Robert McIntyre in the PM in terms of the first round league. I was thinking more first round.
I knew you were thinking first round.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say, but I was thinking more on classic slate and people talking about the guy like Sep Straka there. You've got Peters, who you could go off of, but you like Champ, Varner's there. I think there's other interesting plays.
What three players would you bump due to the fact that they play well in the wind? I think Lowry has to get a bump. Finau, we talked about, somehow plays well in the wind.
Fitzpatrick, I think.
You know who's an excellent wind player? Neiman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I said, I still think Neiman's a great play. I'm not going to just dust the guy off because of the Tiger thing. If anything, it's better for me wanting to get him at a little bit lower ownership. And because he's in that group, I think more people do drop down to Finau, and I'm okay with him too. But I do like Neiman, like you said, I prefer to have him in the wind here.
Trust Woodland's recent form, or does course history weigh it down? I'm going with course history on him and Billy Horschel, just not playing them.
Yeah, I'm not as high on Horschel as I am on Woodland. I still think Woodland, just looking at it over and over again, just doesn't make any sense. That form is just too strong. And the other thing, for not just wind involved, he can bomb it out there, but if you look at the clubbing down, the stinger that he can put out there and do that here, I think that makes it just a little bit more intriguing. He's going to be popular at 6,900 a little bit, but for the form we're getting, it's pretty good. The only thing he really messed up at was the Players with the bad weather draw. Other than that, it's 3 top 8s and like a 21st place. So I like Gary Woodland at 6,900.
Someone asked for a rank 'em, Tambo. Ready?
Yeah, do it your way.
Young, Homa, Woodland, Bobby Mack.
Young, Homa, Woodland, Bobby Mack. So, Young, Bobby Mack, Woodland, Homa. That's the order I like him.
I like McIntyre better than Young, very slightly, but I think I have the same rankings as you on. But no one asked me on that one. They asked you on that one.
Of course they did.
Please ban someone for life at the show open. Not me, though. I love you. Oh, that doesn't sound like a question to me. Tough scene, pal. Banned for life! Won't really ban him.
Set himself up for that. Oh, don't actually do it.
Do you like EVR this week? Nah.
No.
Is a Tiger Matsuyama lineup the best unsafe lineup you've ever seen? Who would you add to it? Well, you might as well just play Tiger and Bryson and Matsuyama and Casey.
Answer,
and Fred Couples.
Damn, write that one down. That might be the winner.
Henley or Connors, we just did that. Fitzpatrick or Connors, I prefer Fitzpatrick.
Fitzpatrick as well. I actually prefer Fitzpatrick also to Henley, if we go back to the earlier.
I felt great about a Zalatoris-Neiman lineup, and now I'm overthinking Neiman about playing with Tiger. So all things considered, which 2v2 do you prefer at the same price? Zalatoris Neiman or Siwoo Morikawa?
I like the Zalatoris one better. I'm okay with Neiman, and like I said, I think Zalatoris' price at 9,200 is still fair. The only thing that worries me is if he's not hitting those greens, it could be a bit of a challenge for him, and he's picking up some steam.
He's not bad around the greens.
He's not horrible. I'm just saying that you now have to take, you mentioned earlier, like you have to take different things into effect. He has to come up with the around the green shot, then he has to have the lag putt, and then he has to have the short putt. We'll see how he can do it.
Would it be okay if I smashed the like button? I will say yes. Everyone out there should smash the like button, rate, review, and sub to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast on Apple Podcast to get into that Masters swag draw as well, if that's something that you're into. Cuss touting Higo is just mean is correct.
It also might be a comment or a statement.
No, there's a he. Yeah, I like that one. Why is no one talking about Hovland?
I think it's the same. Maybe it is overblown, if you will, but it's mainly to do with this around the green game. And I think it's, let me say aside to that though, that's not all it is. That's what's being overblown, if you will, saying that he's not going to be able, and if the wind picks up, he should have more off the green shots and all of that stuff. It's more that he's in the range of Kawa, JT, Rahm, Scheffler. Like, is he good? Absolutely. Does he have 3 of the 6 wins that are sitting up in this top range over the last short period of time? Yes. But does that make him the best play? Not necessarily, because the other guys, even above and below, can still get through and win this tournament for you. You don't just win because you get Hovland at 8%. That's like us with getting our closing line value on our bets. You don't automatically win because you got 8% Hovland. You're off to the races.
Who would you consider to be the safest cut maker in the $6,000 range?
Oh, it's got to be like the safety dudes, like Harman or Nah. Like, those are the guys that are definitely going to make the cut. It's just what do they do with it from there? They just don't make enough mistakes, don't make enough bogeys, but they're not really super long, so they're not going to maybe have the eagles that you'd want in the scoring, but one of them can still come through. I'm just saying, to me, those are the safer guys. Who do you got?
I think those were going to be my 2 stock answers as well.
Yeah. Hard for them to make enough mistakes to actually miss the cut. But on that token, we've talked about this plenty, and even on the Friday show with Roz, it's like their top 40 is probably not good enough because not only is it not a top 20, but it doesn't come with a lot of great DraftKings scoring versus, like you mentioned, like if Higo
or Champ
can get through, or Champ, and all of a sudden they're making an eagle here and a hole out there, and they get lucky on a couple other things, maybe a streak in there, whatever it might be, that's where you start to rack up the DraftKings points, and that's how you get to the top of the board.
What do you typically look to net minimum on your outright betting card? 4x, 5x, 6x? I don't think about that.
I do, actually, and I like the question because so many times
it's usually by and large 5 to 6x.
I was just gonna say it's about 5 to 6x, but the reason I laugh at it, and that's where the Willie Z slander comes in, is when people are betting him at like 20 to 1. I'm like, well, if you're putting $100 on 3 guys and then this happens and he comes through, you're not even really getting 20 to 1 because you can only have one winner. So congrats on your 7 to 1 Willie Z bet that you hit this week when you had to actually go and win a tournament. But I'm with you. I like the 5 to 6x.
Thoughts on doing stacks due to high winds on Fridays? We talked about the weather at 8:45 of the show, so you can rewind to that if you want a full breakdown. So I keep the time code so I can just reference them. And if you're watching this not live as we go through, you can just hit the time codes anyway. Hey, Pat, thanks for all your time and efforts this week. Thank you, Andrew. You sound like a great person. Struggling with the low 7Ks, how would you rank Leash, Siwoo, Homa, and Cam Young? Leash is cursed, but he's also a great win player. So we have to take that in consideration. Cam Young, Siwoo. For DraftKings, I like Cam Young better than I like Siwoo, just based off ownership. But I still like Siwoo, like everyone does. But I go Cam Young, Siwoo, Leash, Homa.
I've got Young, Leash, Siwoo, Homa.
What is this one here? Am I crazy to think Seb Straka with his distance and ability to play in the wind, great recent form, should I take him?
He's winning. He's first round leader and winner, I think.
Yeah, well, top debutant as well. You might as well get in on
get
that.
in on that.
Top
too.
Continental Euro.
Yeah.
That's another one that we can play.
Yeah.
I don't want to dismiss it because I see the tea leaves that everyone else sees at the same time. And I don't. And this is one that I can't figure out. Is this just an us bubble, Seb Straka love fest, or is this like permutating out into the world?
I think it's starting, but it's not going to be enough to care. So look, if you like him, we're making fun of it. You can go to him there. I will say this. I don't know if you have it up or if you can find it anywhere, but Peters is like a huge favorite over some of the guys above him and even some of the guys into the 7K range. And it's not always the truth. That doesn't always work out when the betting markets have it this way, that's the thing that happens. But we've seen it recently with guys like Troy Merritt where that betting market does play out and then he goes out, has a pretty good week. So I do still lean Peters, and I don't think either of them get enough. And you could start a lineup with both if you want to get aggressive. Like, they're both guys that can score on this course if they have a good enough week and be in the top 25, but with more DraftKings scoring to go with it. So take your pick or use them both, but I'm okay with it.
One and done. I can burn one of these guys at the top. JT, Cam Smith, DJ. Don't like the cuss stank on DJ. Scheffler, Cantlay. Cantlay lowest available. I mean, you have every good player. Just fucking pick one.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it. I think that's another thing someone asked earlier about betting versus DraftKings. I think one and done versus that is the same thing. And if you don't want to take 20% owned Cam Smith, I got no problem playing him in one and done, where if he comes through and beats me, then at least I get something out of it and keep rolling from there. But you got everybody, like you said.
Pat, what are your thoughts on Webb Simpson, 200-1? First tourney back, he was in the mix the first 3 rounds. Not why people think he's been awful since the return, because he actually has been awful since his return. He was horrendous at match play, got a win by shooting over par against Brian Harman, and then lost his other 2 matches. He was terrible at the Players. He was okay at Valspar.
Came out hot,
and then just disappeared over the next 3 rounds. I never liked Webb to win at this tournament anyway. Like, he always just seemed to me as, if you were ever going to bet Webb at the Masters, it's a top 20 bet. That's the bet.
Yeah, this rolls right into the question earlier. Bad bet, in my opinion, because he's not winning. Long shots don't win here. It's 200-1. Great. It looks like a big number, but it's that way for a reason. But if you wanted to play him at 7,500 on DraftKings, hope he has those good first 2 days.
You playing him?
I am, yeah. In the $15, I'm playing him. I wanted to try and sneak from you a little bit more inside information if I could get it. I can't find any, but like the Valspar was 267s to open up. It was just the weekend that was bad. Don't think that means a lot, but at 7,500, I can get away with it. I don't think he's a guy that's getting played in this range at all.
Is Zalatoris outright winner worth betting below 35-1? I guess if it's 33, like, what the fuck's the difference? But I bet it at 40.
I wouldn't bet it at 50. I just can't.
How dare you?
It's just not.
How dare you?
He's not winning.
Second last year.
He's not winning.
Second last year.
By the way, top guys that come top 10, and Corey Connors falls into this as well, the previous year, it's like a 4 or 5 year sample size now of really horrible results the following year, including missed cuts from winners.
All I remember in my mind is Jordan Spieth coming second at the Masters in his debut. Where did he finish the next year, Tambo?
Yeah, exactly. You got a one-off there. You got a one-off. You're right. There's definitely the possibility if it happens to be Willie Z or Corey Connors, then congratulations to you, but I think that's a tough one to ask.
Where is Paul? Paul's standing right over there behind the camera and switching all. You see, Paul says hi to everyone. I wish you guys streamed on Twitch, man. Unfortunately, I'm not like a 15-year-old, so I'm not going to go on Twitch.
We need more LED lights and gaming chairs.
Yeah,
chairs for that.
not really my scene. Although it seems like, I would love to gift you some subs to the GOAT. Well, thank you very much, Kenny. But
yeah, that is nice.
You can't go live on Twitch and YouTube at the same time. People just know me that I'm on YouTube, and it would just
the studio setting to me is YouTube, not Twitch.
I mean, you can watch the show on TV too if you want to.
That is correct.
If you have Game Plus, tune in. You can watch it on TV. Nice high resolution, high definition, because the YouTube resolutions only goes up to 720 for whatever reason.
Yeah, I don't know why that is.
Yeah, and like we film in 4K, so
looks much better on the TV. I did get to see it. My parents saw it, and my dad, by the way, we brought him in last week. He got the Tway withdraw. His plays this week are Morikawa and Lucas Glover. The glove. He's in on the glove. So that's the interesting one to talk about. But Tway he picked, and then he withdrew. Hideki he picked, who also withdrew. So
Glover's going to withdraw is what you're saying?
And maybe Morikawa too.
God. That'd be bad news
his
for me.
His track record, so
did he get to see you on TV?
He saw it. That's what I'm saying.
Was he pumped?
Yeah, he thought I was a celebrity now.
That is fantastic. Tambo, what outrights do you have? We went over that at 5:32 of the show. Has any caddy had multiple winners at the Masters? No idea. I'm going to say no. No? Fluff with Fred Couples? And
Bones when JT won in 2022 this year? I don't know. I actually don't know. Ted Scott was one I was thinking of, but Bubba only, right?
I think Fluff was on Couples bag. Was he on the first Tiger bag? Maybe. I don't really remember. Thanks for all the great content. If you were to lock in a player from the 10K range and 9K range, who would it be? If I was guaranteed someone to do really well, I'd lock in Rahm.
Yeah.
And I would lock in Spieth.
I'm Rahm and Brooks. So we're saying on Rahm, Brooks. I know he's owned, but Major is just a whole different world. I just ignore it all.
Hey, Pat, how do you determine the size of your player pool? I typically play 5 GPP lineups a week. Like 10 guys. 5 lineups?
5 lineups, yeah. Just build, like lock in 3 or 4 even.
And then spread it out at the
sprinkle
bottom.
A couple guys around them, whatever that works out to.
Is it a requirement to wear an earring to be a host on this show? Yes.
The answer is yes, but you don't
have
have to
mine
wear
in
them in right now. You don't have to wear
them.
them the day of, but you have to have your ears pierced.
This is a very maybe this person's doing it from their phone or they just don't know English. But either way, any idea on answer? Why he withdrew last week? Is he okay play?
That's a question.
That's a question.
Yeah, we debated a little bit before the show.
I'm out.
I'm definitely going to play him. I think he looks good, and I think even going back to match play, he dusted Morikawa and had every shot in the bag. His around the green game was very strong at Austin Country
Besides
Club.
Austin, he's been kind of shit this year.
He has been, but again, also too, don't forget this. Like he won a WGC last year, kind of a WGC field, right? When you cancel out the old guys, the amateurs, whatever. I think he's at least capable of getting up there, and at 7,900, he can do enough.
What number did you and Jeff get Scott at? I think Jeff got a 90 from December.
Oh, wow.
I got a 70 when I put it out like 2 weeks ago, but I'm staring at a 65 right now, so I'd play him down to 55, 50. Like I think he has a good chance of winning. So
He's a 50 and up guy.
Yeah,
Like,
I
if
would
you're
want,
getting that,
I would
you're
want
good.
to bet him.
Yeah.
Leishman, Reed, Horschel, or Bubba. Ugh, Leishman.
Wow, that's pretty bad. It's for me, it's Leishman, or if you don't want to go with the curse, I would go with Bubba. I'll take some shots on Bubba around this place. I think I saw it actually was your boy Cam Champ was talking about, or it was an article on this around Cam Champ just being absolutely blown away watching Bubba around the greens on practice rounds this week of the things that he can do. So
Maybe he learned something.
maybe he picked it up. Yeah, see if he can implement.
Any amateurs making it to your player pool? No.
Almost,
Is it the Japanese guy?
of course. Yeah.
Everyone-
You know that story? This is so crazy about Nakajima. It's the best nugget of the week. So he's only played on the PGA Tour twice. It was the Zozo and the Sony Open. Who won both of those? The same guy, Hideki Matsuyama, who's like the book's odds-on super favorite to win top am and go to Butler Cabin with his idol right next to him, likely handing the jacket off to somebody else. Got to think something of it. I've heard some sharper dudes even say that Nakajima could be the top debutant. He's that good.
I think they want it more than they think it's going to happen.
Maybe.
Like, would you really take him against Sam Burns?
No, even like there's Burns, there's Gooch, there's Varner, there's other guys at Sepstraka. If you want to keep piling on that, we already said he's winning it. But I'm just saying to plug him in at the pool at 6,400. I have went back and forth on. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. But for the $15, 150 entries, just throw 10%.
So straight forecast bets. Hideki, Nakajima, 5,000 to 1.
2-1 to be in Butler Cabin together, even money, but not for those reasons. So I'm not doing that.
Where is top debut? He was like 30 to 1 to win top debutant or something like that. He's an overwhelming favorite to be top amateur.
That's what I'm saying. You can't even bet on that. Like the number's stupid. So if you were going to try it, try him on at top debutant. Hope those other guys don't come through. I just think they are going to come through. Burns, Gooch, Varner, they all would be a better bet there for me than him.
Tiger's caddy in 2019 won with Fred Couples. That's A, not a question, and B, that's not true. He had, what's his face? Joe whatever on the bag, didn't he?
Joe LaCava?
Yeah. It wasn't Fred Couples' caddy.
I don't know. I'm not the best guy to talk to about caddies, but yeah, I definitely think that could be wrong.
Lee Westwood at 210 to 1 is past his prime. Is he a good bet? No. He is not.
The first sentence is the reason why it's not a good bet.
Thoughts on Seb Straka and or Cam Davis as potential pivots? I mean, Straka's not going to be a pivot off Peters. He's just not. He's going to be the same.
They're going to be the same. Davis would be the way to go there.
I'm not playing Davis.
I might.
Ugh. Victor Hovland couldn't praise Casey enough at his press conference yesterday regarding his short game. Good God. The way he puts spin on the ball. Casey, 90 to 1, gets karma back. You want to talk about Casey. I think he's fine.
Oh, gosh. That just makes me laugh because I believe the statement was Victor Hovland was praising him on his... Yeah, anything looks better than Hovland's short game, so it's probably phenomenal seeing Casey's out there. But I don't know. I think Casey's fine, and I think it's going to be very much like the Players where we end up seeing him just get basically no ownership, and then it comes down to what he can do. I do worry a little bit about the short game more than anything, but if the approach game is on, and it was just back spasms, those can go away. You've talked about it in the past. I think you had it in your newsletter this week or in your article talking about back problems. If you've had them, they can just go away and not show up for 6 more months. They can definitely just bounce back 6 days later.
I can tell you, sometimes when you're getting the clothes out of the dryer, watch yourself if your disc slips and then you go head first into the dryer and then you're stuck onto the ground. Now, maybe I know about this, maybe I don't know about this, but it's not a great situation to be in. Sometimes you can sneeze and throw out your back if you have a bad back. Like, I have a really bad back. It hasn't been, actually, when I took my kid to dance class, and for 2 weeks straight. Like, once I thought it was because I was on an airplane and whatever, and I took him to dance class like the next day, and like it's a lot of like him running straight at me and like jumping because he gets all fired up.
Yeah.
And then like I couldn't walk the next day.
The sneeze thing I've seen for sure. I had a good buddy, same thing, and ended up needing a surgery and everything, not just from the sneeze. That's sort of like the straw that broke the camel's back. And now it's like, oh, something must be wrong with me, and he had to go get checked out. It was based on that. So like you said, it can flare up out of anywhere, but I think he's good at 7,600 here. He has a great history. He's got a good all-around game.
Pat, what makes you think that Scott at 70 is better value than Bubba at 90? One guy's good and the other guy's not. That's the way that I would go with it, at least.
They're very similar.
Bubba
but
has been shit.
The
this year.
Scott bet is definitely probably, well, I said definitely probably. It's not true, but I'd say it's probably better.
It is better. Bubba has been bad outside of one round at the Players this year. That's the only good round he's had.
He almost won the Saudi.
Oh, yeah, I suppose that's true.
He came running down to give HV3 a big hug. Like, this guy's, he's got the game. He can find it around here, too. That's the thing.
Par 5 scoring. Who's in the top 5 at the Masters? Well, you can go to fantasynational.com/Mayo to go research this. Par 5 scoring at the Masters over the past 5 years. Do you know who number 1 is?
No idea.
Jordan Spieth.
There you go.
Which
Yeah.
is kind of crazy.
It's probably like guys like Spieth, Hideki, like whoever won it. Like, wasn't Hideki some crazy number last year when he won it? Like 12 under on the holes or something? Like the par 5s? I just can't remember, but it's definitely guys like that. Anyone who won came through on the par 5s.
Par 5s gained coming into this event over the past 50 rounds. Cantlay and Bryson are tied for first. Fitzpatrick, Cam Smith, Seamus Power are next. And then it's Rahm, Scheffler, Homa, Gooch. We still haven't talked about Gooch. I don't want to play him. I'm not doing it.
He's an interesting conversation since we talked. Like, again, the books, this is the opposite effect of what I talked about earlier with a guy like Peters. Like, how is he such odds to win? Like, the outright odds are insane versus a guy like Burns right below him. But then if you go on fantasynational.com and look into all the stats, he pops in the stats models like Gooch does. And it seems like a course he could get around. We talk about a guy like Cam Smith, why people like him here so much. Again, not obviously as a history. We're talking about a debutant, but with Cam Smith, he can be a little bit more erratic off the tee. But he can get away with that here, and then he has a good all-around game beyond that. Isn't that Taylor Gooch for cheaper? I know it's 8,700. It's still steep. I'm saying, but that's paying up for probability. He's not going to be owned at 8,700.
Let me ask you this. What's the difference between Gooch and Hoagie?
That's tough to say. Not much.
$3,000.
But it's very
$2,000.
here,
And the
yeah.
same ownership, basically.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I just, like I said, when you talk about general upside of a guy like him versus Cam Smith won the Players, had won the Century or whatever it was, and is a better player. But I think nobody's playing Taylor Gooch at 8,700. That's the difference.
Do you prefer Spieth or Zalatoris? Spieth.
I prefer Spieth.
Is playing Siwoo, Bobby Mack, and Peters on DK. Is it time to withdraw and deactivate my account?
I don't think so.
I have lineups with those guys.
Yeah, I was going to say that. At least you're looking for some firepower. You need a lot to go your way for boom bust, but I think it's a good way to go.
Share the show around on the social midges as well to get some more concurrence going so we can get that good advertising money so we can continue to come at you live. We do this every single Wednesday, by the way, if you didn't know. The chats, although more people are concerned about the Masters than they will at my favorite event on the PGA Tour next week, the RBC Heritage. But Pat, what do you think about 3 chances of Colin, DJ, and Brooks together at plus 550? So if one of those wins, one of those guys win, it pays plus 550. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's not the way I bet or how I'd go about it.
So how does that work? I'm just trying to do it the math in my head. So if you bet $20 on that, you would win what, 110? Mm-hmm. So if you bet $5 on each of their outrights, what would that pay?
It should be similar. Aren't they all like 20-ish to 1?
They're all 20-ish to 1. Then you would have an extra 5 left over.
Yeah.
So
I just don't.
So it seems like you're getting scummed a little bit here.
Yeah, maybe.
Or you could just bet 5 on 4 golfers instead of the 3, and it gives you exactly the same payout for the same investment.
Yeah, you're looking for the smallest of edges, I think, and it's going maybe against you in that case. My mind is still thinking back to how next week is the RBC Heritage, and Siwoo's very popular this week, could bust, and then we get to play him next week at lower ownership. I'm already thinking ahead for that, but let's get through the Masters first.
Reed has a horrible history here. Horschel doesn't have a great track record here, but why shouldn't this be his first major? Great second shot guy. That's not really all that true. And putter. That can be true from time to time. Better on Bermuda than bent. And that's usually what we see, 110 to 1. I mean, sounds like you want to bet Horschel? Bet Horschel.
Is the question to play Horschel versus Reed? Because I think that's a good question.
No, I think it's just to bet Horschel.
Oh, okay. Who would you play between Horschel and Reed this week? Or bet, doesn't matter. Like, who would you go
Probably Horschel.
Yeah, I think I would too.
I'm playing Rose, first round leader too. Ooh, that doesn't sound like a question to Pat. Banned for life. Good questions. I don't care about your fucking comments. All right? Do that on your own chat. Tell a bunch of people who don't give a shit. Well, except for me, because I also don't give a shit. But don't tell me. Clog up my fucking chat. Rose or Leishman for DraftKings? Rose. Hatton was 95 to 1 for the first half of last week. That's not a fucking question. Banned for life. We're getting into it now. I got the band finger ready to go. You asked the questions. It's the questions chat. Thoughts on Schwartzel? I'm not playing him.
You kind of liked him.
I liked him versus Mac Hughes. I'm not playing either of them.
Okay, fair.
But like, if you want that type of guy that you're just banking on a whole bunch of putts being made, I've seen Schwartzel do it here so many times. That would be the only lean that I would have there.
Makes sense.
Is the 8K range setting up to be the sandwich range? Yes. We went over this at 1351 of the show about the 8K range, and we completely agree with you. What do you think about betting guys in the AM on Friday, end of round 2 leader bets? If the PM sucks a lot on Friday, you can basically cross off half the field. Or the weather report's wrong and you lose all your money.
Yeah. Like we said, that's how you're betting. Sure, for first round leaders and stuff, I get it. But if you're playing, we talked about this last time, even during the players, and I tried to reiterate it on Twitter. If you're going to play wave stacks, play both. Just figure it out. A certain portion of your lineups, and don't just pick and go all in on one side, because if that's wrong, it means the other side got there. And if nothing happens, you still leave a large majority of your lineups with both sides.
Now that Tiger's probably playing, would you rather have Neiman or Scott? Scott.
I'm actually still on Neiman. I like that it's the only thing that's changed is he's in Tiger's group, and it brings the ownership down. It could end up being a factor, but I'm willing to figure it out by putting my money on it.
Favorite debutant? I'm probably not going to bet this market. Paul bet Hoagie at 11-1.
Okay.
I would probably bet Higo at 16-1.
Yeah, I'm on the super favorite. I'm on Burns.
All right. Favorite Sonora bet? I don't have one.
The answer is Padraig Harrington. But
he's like plus 130, isn't he?
It got chopped, but even that's good. Actually, it got chopped more than that in some places. But it's him versus Bernard Longer. Longer is the same conversation as always, and then the course ended up getting longer. Pun intended, I guess. I don't know, but the course is longer for longer, so I would go with Harrington. Why
no love for Sungjae? 12th in strokes gained this season if he gets his irons going. Listen, we talked about Sungjae. That was at 13. No, sorry, that was at 1755 that we talked about Sungjae. I think looking at 12th in strokes gained this season, this is why you need to use Fantasy National and don't log on to PGAtour.com. You know why he's 12th in strokes gained? Because he won the Shriners. He played really well at the CJ Cup, which by my calendar was over 6 months ago. Mm-hmm. What's he done lately? Fuck all.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean to say that I don't think he can play well or he's a bad play. I'm thinking about playing him. But nothing in his form would indicate that he is going to play well.
Yeah, it's just if you have a good Sungjae week, that's what you got to get. Get lucky.
Brian Harmon has been peaking. He's been close in a major before. Lefty, great putter, 250-1. Are you in?
No.
Me neither. How do I get a Fantasy National sweatshirt to help promote the site? I don't know. Moose just kind of sends them to me. You have one, don't you?
I do not yet. No. Moose sent me some other stuff, but no sweatshirt.
This guy keeps giving me his bets. You're fucking gone. Like, I don't care what you're betting. You have to realize that by now. DraftKings Sportsbook has the winning score over. Oh, there we go. That just jumped on me here. Over 278.5. That's minus 13.5, I think. I think that's what that turns out to be. If Masters plays the single-digit under par winner like Danny Willett Masters, which players are currently being overlooked? I mean, that's a lot of like when people build out algorithms, these are the type of questions that they're thinking about. I would say like Lowry, Fitz, like those guys.
Bez, like we talked about, like that's where you're going to find a guy like him.
Yeah, the Euros.
Yeah. But I mean, they have the all-around game. They've got, because it means it's going to be windier than you expect. You know
who actually would excel in that? Adam Scott.
He would.
If the winning score is like 8 under, Adam Scott's going to win.
Yeah, I think it's better for guys like Scott, Casey even. Same thing.
Old dudes.
Yeah, Bez, Rose, I think could find his way through that and be able to get there at 10 under or something, 8 under. That'd be great for a guy like him.
Hatton playing well, good outright bet. Thinking about it.
I bet him. Yeah, I missed out the 95 that everyone got, but I got 55. You can still get 60 now. So,
are you guys comfortable playing any of the guys with good recent form but bad course history? Homa, Billy Ho, or Woodland? I'm not playing any of them.
Woodland, I am. Yeah, I just think I'm riding the form right now and the fact that he can get creative enough around here.
Do you think that going full chalk, but then including Seamus in all lineups, is enough to make a contrarian lineup work? No. Because you're still good. You're now 1v1 Seamus versus the other guys.
It'll end up being like, even if you let it get all the way to a 2v2 in your mind, because you're not going to be the exact on all the guys, you're putting yourself to, you need more leverage than that.
I like Homa with his finishes at Genesis. Well, that's not a fucking question. You're fucking banned for life. Get the fuck out of my chat and never fucking come back. Thank you for going away. Would you rather eat the chalk on JT and rely on his putting, or Brooks with his course history and major history? I'd rather play Brooks.
I'm playing both, but I'd rather play JT.
I like Leishman this week. What's his ownership look like? 10%?
12-ish is my guess.
Is that where is that where we've settled in? What's Fantasy National telling me? It's telling me between 11 and 13%. So, yeah, there we go.
Good choice on the average, yeah.
Who are some low iron players that can take advantage of the wind? It's really hard to know that because guys, unless they're forced into those situations, you just never see those shots. Like, I like Neiman. Like, Neiman is like, he hits that low ball flight. He's played really well in the wind in the past. But like, Finau is not someone that you would think of as a good wind player, but here we are.
Yeah, well, guys like him, it's like him and Gary Woodland. They just show up and just have that shot in the bag, so they bring it out when needed.
Wind is really tough, too, because I even wrote this up in the newsletter that, yeah, we can look at the wind stats in super high winds, but that does not take into any context what course they're playing.
Right.
It doesn't take in any context the field strength, the relative field strength. So maybe Finau just beat up on a bunch of dummies at the Puerto Rico Open. Who knows?
Yeah, and too, like you mentioned, the course, you're playing like Sawgrass, going to that water, and then you go into the water another time from the drop zone. Like you're taking on way more strokes that you're losing out on based on that setup versus just playing in a windy tournament.
How many players should I target when making 6 to 8 lineups? Mainly single entry.
Very low number.
I said, for me, I'd probably just build 2 lineups and just play all those.
Or that. I just lock 3 or 4 guys and then sprinkle some around them.
Which injuries are you more concerned about based on the news you've heard? Casey or Answer? I'm more concerned about Answer. I just don't know.
Yeah.
At least I know with Casey, it's the back. He's out there walking around. He looks fine.
Yeah, I'm the opposite. I think I'm more concerned because we know for sure Casey's is a back, and it could flare up at any time. I don't think Answer was. I just think he's, like I say, he's chilling. He's putting out mustache pictures, hanging out, saying he's ready to go.
Tyrrell Hatton is winning the Masters. No question mark at the end. You're banned for life. Sammy Burns is a winner. Give me someone who can compete on Sunday and has won tourneys before. Doesn't have to win outright, but top 5 upside. I feel like it could be there. Not a question. You're banned for life. Louis or Lowry? Lowry.
Good question, though. I like that one, Louis versus Lowry. I'm more on Lowry, but I'm comfortable with Louis.
I think Hovland will be in the winning lineup this week. Not a question. Banned for life. Siwoo or Bobby Mack?
Bobby Mack.
Bobby Mack.
I think it's Bobby Mack. Yeah. Like I said, I'm counting on Siwoo failing and coming through for us next week.
Any chance the course plays much easier with the greens being very soft? Maybe around the green doesn't factor in as much. If that's the lane you want to take, that's a unique lane to think about this week. And I can't say yes or no to it because I fucking have no idea.
Yeah, these guys are just really good. So, I mean, that would affect more like the bet the score number. But for me, are they really going to hit more greens with the wind that's projected? I don't think. So we'll have to wait and see, but it could happen.
2v2 question. Brooks and Burns or Spieth and Neiman? I like Spieth and Neiman.
I'm on Brooks and Burns there for sure.
Westwood is a good putter. News to me. Did we say he was a good putter? I don't recall saying that.
It might have been a statement you read of a banned for life person that now they might be a banned for life person because they just made a statement about it.
Banned for life. Sorry. Any Hoagie love? I feel like we've talked up Hoagie a little bit here.
Paul loves him.
Paul's all in on Hoagie. What are his odds to win? Did you bet that too?
No.
Just top debutant.
He's 200 to 1.
Statboard loves him.
He's a bad bet. He's a good top debutant bet. I like that. We'll go with that.
Do you enjoy the Masters as a fan like the Super Bowl? The sportsbook have all the juice on abnormal novelties like Tiger to win. That is hardcore edge, better degree on Peters or Fitz? That's a question, but that's...
What was that?
Why don't you try that one again at some point later in the chat? Abraham, answer to win. Not a question. Banned for life. Just weeding out all the jabronis here. Tambo, if I start my lineups with Billy Horschel and Lee Westwood, how contrarian will I be?
Very.
Yes.
Yeah, Westwood is like unowned completely. Some will play Horschel, but nowhere near what you would expect, so you're fine.
This is like the Lee Westwood section. Lee Westwood has been a hot garbage player, but sub 7K. How good is he to throw in? Like, he would need that like +1. I feel like if we get to like +1 even par winning score, Westwood would be like kind of live to be around the leaderboard.
Do they know like the course got longer here too? Like, this is just not built for him. Like, even if the score is that way, we'll see how he does, but I don't think so.
Appreciate the hours of Masters content. Any tips or advice for a Calcutta pool? Top 12 payout. So assuming attacks similar to top 12. I have no idea what a Calcutta pool is.
I do, but I don't play in them, so I don't have any advice.
What about Stuart Sink?
Yeah, I'm interested.
You're interested in Stuart Sink?
Yeah, he's got the length. That's what I'm thinking about. If you're going to play the Bombers angle, he made some of those lineups for that reason, but just looking at all-around game and $6,400 price tag, he's more interesting than like Nakajima, Glover, Cam Davis. Like, he's actually a guy I think could show up. So I just think that's one thing, Pat, and Ben hinted at it on the Friday show, that people are just wanting to end in the 7Ks. Like if I can get Siwoo as my 6th guy, I'm good. Or if I can land on Young as my last guy in, there's a lot of lineups like that. So especially in something like the $15 where you've got to beat 315,000 people, you have to just be comfortable with being uncomfortable. Be comfortable being uncomfortable by dropping down into this range and taking some shots.
Despite the amazing new set, do you ever miss or consider setting up the N64 games and posters? Well, the N64 games were there.
Yeah.
And so were the regular
wrestlers
Nintendo
are there,
games.
too.
And the wrestlers. And all the movie posters are still at my home set, which I still do the research show from.
Is the legend here, though? Our guy, Eddie Murphy?
Oh, yeah, Eddie Murphy's right there. He's
He's on
staring
your
at me
side?
from
Okay.
behind the punch-out.
Okay, yeah, there
so
we go.
he's there. Everything's still here. We're still
it.
working on it, too.
It's come a long way already.
Yeah.
Already started great, but remember the lighting at the beginning, guys?
Yeah, it was
Come
terrible.
on.
Yeah, we got it fixed. The lights just had to show up. Like, did you want no shows?
Yeah.
Because that was the alternative.
Still got the content, exactly.
Would you give us a bit of rundown on EVR and Glover and what they have done in the past Masters? Nothing. EVR, I believe, withdrew in his only Masters. That was the November Masters, and I don't recall Glover ever being good here. I could be wrong on that, I suppose, but...
I would have more interest in Glover, but not going to be behind him too much. My dad is, turning into the Ender curse, so we'll see if we can get on him. I'm not going to play too much Glover here.
In all of the Masters since 2010, the best finish Glover has had is T36, and that was in 2010, since he's missed 3 of 5 cuts with a top performance of 42nd.
I mentioned him yesterday on Twitter, and someone sent me an article about him and his wife from 2019. I was like, thanks, I already know.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
we remember living through that experience.
The funny part was he actually's played better since. He won the John Deere. He went out and got a few good finishes, played okay at the Valero last week. That's the reason people are even mentioning his name, but doesn't mean he's going to play good here.
Tambo, you're looking like a big red snack today.
I always have a reason why I wear what I do. Remember, I had the Army gear on, the Puma stuff for Ricky that week. It did not work out. This is red for the potential bloodbath that I'm going to encounter here at the Masters this week, so I'm preparing for that.
As a game theory play, it almost seems worth it to fade the entire 8K range if there's going to be that much ownership. I think we've said the opposite of that, haven't we?
Yeah.
That the ownership isn't in the 8K range, it's everywhere else.
It's just the facts. If people play 10K guys, they go 10K, 9K, skip. If they play 2 10K guys, they're skipping 9 and 8K. If they go really balanced, they go 2 or 3 9K guys, maybe 1 8K guy, and skip. And the 7K ownership is just everywhere. So simple.
Do you have a lean this week on bogey avoidance versus opportunities gained? I don't like to use opportunities gained here because it's tough to hit greens regulation here.
Yeah, I would definitely lean bogeys, bogey avoidance, even 3-putt avoidance. We need
3-putt avoidance is key. I was trying to actually find, and I can't find the stat anywhere, even on Fantasy National.
this, yeah.
Yeah, like can I find a 3-putt percentage from beyond 40 feet? It's only beyond 25 feet I can find. I'm not too concerned about guys 3-putting from 25 feet, but I am from I basically just want to figure out a way to quantify lag putting, and that's really difficult to do. Because someone like Zalatoris, really good lag putter.
Yeah.
Adam Scott, really good lag putter. Bubba Watson, really good lag putter. 2 of those 3 guys are not good putters in general.
right.
But they're good they don't 3-putt from 60 feet.
But I think you take that into consideration if you feel that this course is going to play a bit harder, because that means you're not going to need the scoring as much from those putts, that those lag putts could come in handy in like a 10-under win.
Neiman value now because of Tiger grouping. We went over that. He's not going to be 1% owned.
Right.
Like I think people are expecting. He'll be like 10 to 12.
Yep.
Wins, diff a factor this week. We went over the wind at 8:45.
That might be a statement. I think they mean a factor. Definitely a factor.
Oh.
That's a statement.
No, it says is.
Oh,
is
okay,
the
okay.
wins.
Okay, there's a question.
It's a very confusing statement.
I was
and/or
getting
question.
excited from all the hype of all those bands in a row, and I felt
Oh,
like
I
it's
just
been a
stopped.
while.
I stopped. I just started silently banning people
Oh,
now.
good.
Because we still have a ton of questions here.
All right.
Why would playing with Tiger devalue Neiman? Just extra eyeballs? It's different.
Yeah, go YouTube anything about Tiger groups or Tiger fans and things like that. Like Tiger almost got run over and had his leg taken out at one point. Like this is some wild stuff. And we didn't talk about this, did we? Maybe we did. The group right in front of him, maybe it was pre-show.
Bryson,
Casey, and Cam Smith are the group right in front. The theory being that while they're not in it, not only did they have to hear the roars, because like Tiger's going to make a par and people are going to go nuts in some way, shape, or form, but people will watch the Tiger approach shot, skip out on the green, and rush to the next hole. And there's a lot of crowd control that has to go on to be able to be ready. And look at like Bryson and Casey can tilt off quickly there. So, and then Cam Smith is 20% owned on DraftKings.
Let's see. 4 years ago, you gave me a tip. Quote, wait until the end of round 1 and bet a guy in the top 6 who isn't in first place. This strategy has worked out great. Reed, Tiger, Hideki, do you still stand by this strategy? I don't ever remember saying that, but that sounds like a good. I'm going to write that
Take
down.
credit because it is a great note. I had it today in the tidbits because it was actually that you basically have to be the winners come from the top 10 after day one. That's just like the stat for I think it was like 8 of 9 years, or it goes back. Like it's a decent stat on a sample size at a course that's very predictable, and that's basically what it came down to.
Tiger Woods to make the cut, -115 at DraftKings Sportsbook. Thoughts? Go back to 324 where we talk about that exact bet. I like it. Never missed a cut. Oh, this guy is not banned for life. Sorry about that. Is Tiger more likely to win if the winning score is -6 or -15? Either.
I'd say it's pretty obvious. It's 6, actually.
Is it?
Yeah. Like he's what could he do other stuff? Yes, but I think the way he's so precise about everything and planning how he wants to go and attack the course, not only will he have this in his mind going in and know that before each round or even before the tournament starts, but he'll be setting up for that. That's how he's done so well in the past. So I think the higher the score in this case, like a 6 under, the better for a guy like Tiger.
Thoughts on Sam Burns not getting talked about very much? Someone I just saw it pop up on my screen. Fucking Kaufman. Fuck off, Kaufman, who are my favorite DraftKings plays this week. Doing a live show, you asshole. Fucking Kaufman.
Banned.
I'm going to block his fucking text number here. Let's see. Yeah, thoughts on Burns? I like him on DraftKings. I don't like him to win.
I like him on both. I don't think he's going to win, but I like him more on DraftKings.
Rank these 4 guys. Siwoo, Cam, Young, Luke List, Bobby Mack. That's that range. I'm playing all 4 of them, but Bobby Mack I do like the best.
Mine's Young and Mack, then List, then Siwoo.
Are people underestimating Scheffler again? Ted Scott knows Augusta Tambo. I don't think they're underestimating him. It's just jarring to see him as the most expensive guy when you can play Rahm for less money.
That's the thing about this. Like everyone's like, oh, and JT's way over owned. No, it's just a product of what they did. JT's 10-3 and Scheffler's 11K. That's going to cause these ownerships.
Tambo, why would you choose Lowry over Fitzpatrick outright?
Mainly just, I think, the opportunity to win a major winner. I know that Fitzpatrick wins overseas and he's actually won some Masters events, just not the U.S. Masters, but I just like his upside more. And I think the thing is, when you look at the form of Lowry going into that Open that he won, and you could almost see similar weather in the case of the little bit of wind, needing that around the green game, needing to make those putts. That's where I see Lowry's upside. I think he's a good number and a much better bet.
What are Bobby Mack's current ownership projections? Fantasy National has him super high because I think that people are just super high on Bobby Mack on Fantasy National. I would guess 6%.
I was going to say 8 to 10 again.
Yeah, 8 to 10.
It's going to get spread there because, like I said, so many lineups are ending at that 7K spot. They want to end right there. They're going to play Woodland is going to get some ownership there. List, obviously Siwoo you mentioned, Homa who we talked about, bunch of guys there getting the ownership still. So it's going to be limited still.
What's your lean on the tee time for the groupings? We do that at 8:45. Just rewind. Join the show late. Sorry if you talked about this already. How important are you weighing par 5 scoring here? Do windy conditions heavily devalue this? I mean, par 5 scoring is such an inexact number because every par 5 is different. Every course is different. It's not like hitting. I know every approach shot is technically different, but approach shots are approach shots. Mm-hmm. You might have just played a whole bunch of courses that have super long par 5s or super short par 5s. And that can really impact your, at least short-term scoring in terms of par 5s. Like I mentioned here, Spieth has been the best on the par 5s over the past 5 years.
Yeah, it's because he's almost won all these times. But the other side of it is that you're right. It's just the par 5 scoring and the putting. Both of those stats here, do they matter at Augusta National Golf Club when the week is all said and done? Yes, whoever scored the best on the par 5s and putted well showed up. But if you look at the stats coming in, it's not always who was ranked as the best putter coming in or who was best par 5 scoring because it comes from other courses and styles.
Now, obviously, these guys don't have a ton of rounds, but on average per round over the past 24 rounds at Augusta National, Hovland, Peters, Rahm, DJ, and Rory, tied with Spieth, Xander, and Brooks and Hideki, are the best par 5 players. Mm-hmm. The worst par 5 players, besides Luke List from 2005, when he played as an amateur at this event, Shane Lowry sucks on the par 5s here. He's the worst player in the field.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that, but I mean that could be something. I mean, Adam Scott is down there. Sergio is down there.
Yeah. It comes back, I think, to that score, too, like you said. If you think it's going to be 18 under or some crazy number, then, of course, you're going to want guys that can just light these par 5s up. I think if you think that wind matters and you're going to need a little bit more around the green game and just some general stick with it and see what happens over the weekend, that's where those guys come into play a little bit more.
Who are your top 3 one-and-done picks? Let me hit the odds here. Scheffler, Rahm, and JT.
Spieth, Rory, Rahm.
Really?
I just think they're the obvious, and it's a course that it makes sense to get the consistency, pick up a decent paycheck, and they all could win. And then the other one is Hovland, like I said, or Morikawa, one of those two young guns. If you have them and are looking for a place to use them that most won't, I think you can sort of hedge out and use them here.
Hovland or Rahm? Rahm.
Rahm.
I keep hearing that the sub-air under the entire course, others saying that's not possible and it's only the green. Can you confirm which is right? I've always heard it's under the entire course.
That's what I think, but I've also heard the same thing too, of like it's also going to depend on what you get. Here, we're not expected to get a ton.
Also, if anyone out there can explain what sub-air does, like over the course of 5 minutes, over the course of 5 hours, can anyone do that? No.
No. I think there was a lot of talk about it, though, at the, what was it, the Players? When it was just like, oh, it's going to handle everything. And then it was like, actually, it's not.
Because there's a monsoon.
There's too much rain. It's not going to do it in time, and it did not.
Tell me why I should play Rahm.
Oh.
If you need a convincing case to play Rahm, just fuck off.
Or I'd just say a simpler answer is if you haven't been playing Rahm, stay off him. If you have been playing him, I would stick with him. It's the spot to play him.
JT or Rahm at the top? Big T, all in on the JT fade.
Yeah, he is. That's what I said. We're going to have this.
I'm fading him too.
He wants to take $100 against me on every single guy 9K and up, and I get JT. So they're all single bets. So we could go 5 and 5. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
You took that bet though, right?
I did.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
I mean, I would probably take that bet too, although I'm fading Justin Thomas.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I'm thinking, like, this guy, there is other plays around there, but on that bet, I have to take it. I'm just happy he's giving me everybody. The only thing we excluded was Rahm Scheffler, but I took Rahm versus his Scheffler as another bet. He wants Scheffler.
But you want Rahm over JT.
I still get everything else except that, but
but this question is, do you want Rahm or JT?
Rahm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hatton, Neiman, Scott, and Burns. Scott for sure. Burns. Okay. Abraham Answer at, I thought I fucking banned this guy. Although he always is asking questions now. At 66-1, Abraham Answer? No. Why don't you shop around and find it like triple that
Even
price?
if you found a better number, that goes back to the original question. Much better DraftKings play. Nobody's playing him on there. You don't need him to win at 7,900. Play him there.
Weather, morning versus afternoon waves. Weather at 8:45. What is your goal cumulative ownership percentage for golfers in your GPP lineup? I legit don't think about that because I construct my lineups going into it with, here are the chalk guys that I want. Here are the chalk guys that I don't want. Let's leave $100 on the table at least, and now I don't care anymore. 100%
is what a lot of people look at and play under that. Some go even more aggressive, but it's whatever you want to do, and there's ways to get different without even doing that. So,
rank them: Siwoo, Fleetwood, Rose, and Bez. Just Siwoo.
Rose and Bez. Oh gosh, like Fleetwood, then probably Siwoo, and then probably Rose. No, Fleetwood, Rose, Siwoo, Bez for me.
Okay, Xander or Hideki? Xander.
Yep, Xander.
What do you think Spieth's ownership will be? 15%?
15 to 18.
1v1, Xander or Cantlay? I would go with Cantlay.
I like them both. I have more Cantlay.
Why does no one like Bubba? Because he's been fucking piss poor.
Yeah, I'm going to play him in the...
When you go back and look at the times that he's played well at Augusta, he usually plays well at all the other places he usually plays well at, and he has not done that this year.
Yeah,
awful at match
in that
play,
range,
awful at Riviera.
The range is so bad. It's Webb, Rose, Horschel, Reed, Bubba, Leishman, Kirst, Power, Kokrak. Like, it's the worst range. But it's also a range that can win you these tournaments because
for sure. Yeah.
Someone's going to show up there and everyone's playing the 7K guy or the $7,100 Siwoo or Homa.
Now, we're not all playing 150 lineups like you.
Right.
If you weren't, would you be playing Bubba?
Still, I think I would.
3 max Bubba.
No, not 3 max.
20 max Bubba.
Yes.
Okay.
And the reason is because we talk about it all the time, but the roster construction. I know people are wanting to land between Woodland and Homa and Siwoo. They want to be in that $6,900 to $7,100 range. I can get unique in my build just by going to these $7,300, $7,400 guys.
I'm in a pool with about 150 other people where we pick any 6 golfers and use the best 4 scores. I'm hoping for a couple contrarian picks. Zalatoris, Burns, Berger, Lowry.
Yeah, I was going to say, so Berger, Hatton. Most people that can pick any are just going to pick the top of the board.
Yeah.
So find the guys you actually think could come out and pull out a win.
Spieth and Morikawa are probably, Morikawa is probably the one that gets left aside if you can only
one
pick
of
6
Morikawa
people.
or Hovland, like you said. Yeah, like anything like that is where you can just get a little bit unique from everyone else just going to take the 6 guys at the top of the board.
Chat jumped on me. A lot of questions in here.
Masters week, baby.
I should start banning more people.
I like it.
Oh my God. We're not even like halfway through the questions here.
We got time. It's Masters week.
I suppose so. Posted this question hours ago, probably too early. Most definitely was. How would you go about tabulating die putting speed in model? This is not I don't know German.
Die putting?
Die putting speed.
Are we putting Pete die putting?
Approach putting seems like a critical stat here, but Fantasy National doesn't scrape it. I don't know what the fuck is approach putting.
Approach putting?
Oh, lag putting.
Okay, there you go. Lag putting makes more sense. I've never heard of it called approach putting.
It's why Fantasy National doesn't scrape anything. Fantasy National has a deal with IMG. Everywhere else scrapes their stats. We do not at fantasynational.com/Mayo for 20% off to get those truly accurate numbers that are coming in. It's not something that gets weighted. I think maybe they don't know how to calculate it.
Yeah, it's just tougher to go off of too. Like I said, it's just something you're gonna have to figure out on your own.
All right, we got to start going rapid fire. Someone told me we can get a Guido 22-1 top 20 after his high finishes at the U.S. Open last year. He's been bad, but why not take it? Because he's been so fucking bad.
Yeah,
he can't even make cuts on the Euro Tour in scrub fields.
I don't. Did he come through last week? I didn't see what his final result was, but
Guido, did he even play last week?
Yeah, people were wanting to play him. I think at like 61, or was it last week or the week before $6,100? I thought it was last week with you.
Oh, at Valero.
Yeah, I didn't even think. I don't think he did anything.
I think
enough.
it was like plus 10.
Yeah, I wasn't in on him. So,
what do you anticipate the cut line this week? +1 or +2 is usually where it is.
I was gonna say +2 probably. Yeah.
Cam Champ has performed well here in the past.
Two times.
He's 2 for 2.
Yep.
2 top 30s. Yeah. Definitely struggle with player pool amount. What's the key number for 20 max and 150? There is no key number. I don't understand why people think this.
There's a magic number. They want the magic optimizer settings. They want the magic player pool exposures. They want everything. But not only that, when you know you have the magic 30 guys, make sure you only go to 36% max ownership on any one guy so that you can get the proper spread down throughout. There's no magic number. It's risk versus reward. Play what you want. If you play a lot of guys, you'll probably get more money back, but you'll have way less chances of hitting the top because you'll need the magic bullet to get to the top. You play a little amount of guys, they all crush. You win a lot of money. They all suck. You lose.
What's your take on Gary Woodland? I'm out. You're in?
In.
Pat, love what you're doing. Thank you, Austin. I love you, platonically. Tiger, no bogeys or worse first 3 holes, +100, yes or no? I think that's like too degen for even me. Like
that is.
I don't know if it's degenerates playing it or real casual people playing it, like seeing those things and wanting to get action in right away. Like, I don't fucking know.
I think it's casuals just because it's like, again, maybe someone's grinding the edges, but I think it's someone's like, I don't want to stick around for Tiger's full round. Let me just bet on his first 3 holes and see what he can do. I'll watch that.
I mean, holes number 2 and hole number 3 are easy.
It's a good idea, though, for the books to put it out.
Oh,
because
100%.
just like
anything Tiger related, throw it out there.
But golf courses do like a 9-hole deal or a 12-hole deal that might get the average person more interested in going to play golf. It's the same thing.
See, I completely agree with that.
Yeah. But this is like, let me just watch 3 holes of Tiger, and I win or I lose. +100.
Hole 1 is the one that you'd probably get your money on that he would probably bogey because hole 1 is very difficult. Hole 2 and 3 is the easiest par 4 on the course. Not to say he can't bogey it, but
I forget what he said the bet was. I know it was +100, but was it under par? This is probably gonna push.
No bogeys or worse.
Oh yeah, see, I don't really like that because I think he could definitely bogey.
Every time I talk to networks about like incorporating betting into their broadcast, they're always on me about live betting. You know anyone that live bets golf? Like outside of I'm taking this guy, like, oh, his stats are like really crazy, but it's like, oh, I need to bet Gary Woodland bogey on this hole. Like that, they think that's like a huge market. It is not.
It's not a huge market. Fried Egg Polly is a guy that does it, and sometimes he'll post some free ones out on Twitter, and they're actually, I have no reason to endorse the guy. They're incredible. Like, he knows the stuff.
I'm sure it's an exploitable market.
Yeah.
But they seem to think like this is the future of betting, like hole by hole betting. Like, is it?
We'll see. I mean, I can see more people getting into that, but it is very degen, to your point. It's like you have to be on top of your game. It seems like a lot of work.
Do you like Thomas Peters? Yes.
Yes. With
all the rain that has come down, will the sub air make enough? I don't fucking know. Woodland or Siwoo? Siwoo.
Woodland.
Cam Young or Homa? Cam Young.
Young.
Thoughts on Ryan Palmer? I have none.
None.
Champ hasn't been in the best form. This is true. Do we need to sell ourselves on him? I'm in. I'm playing Cam Champ.
Not much. Like I said, bomber lineups only.
How do you guys feel about the Gooch at low ownership? Like I said, I would rather play Hoagie at the same ownership and just use Sam Burns and Hoagie. Like, I really don't see the difference between Hoagie and the Gooch.
I've come around a little bit just based on the fact that I said just paying up for probability, but I get your Hoagie take. It makes sense.
But, like, if they're the same ownership, then you have the same ownership on them. And if you use Gooch, that means you can't use Burns, Louis, or Berger, who were right there.
You could use 2 of them in the same lineup. Like, I can go a 10K guy with Burns and Gooch and still get away with a different construction than most.
Or you can use 10K Burns, Hoagie, and then go back up again. Like, I just feel like the cost of Gooch at that price is not worth giving up the options around him.
Yeah, but if you're saying there's similar guys and Hoagie ends up doing well, maybe Gooch does well too at the same time. It's tough to say. I get your argument. I like it. I'm just saying that's the difference that you're seeing. Nobody wants to play Gooch because he's just a stupid price.
Is this your favorite week of golf? If not, what else? I prefer the Open Championship, but this is very close.
That's a good debate. This is my favorite though.
I just like, I mean, especially since I've had kids and I'm up at like 5 a.m. anyway.
Yeah.
Open is like, oh, let's chuck on some live sports.
That is
events.
the best part about that. So I said that makes it a good debate. But none of the other majors stand out, like the PGA Championship, the U.S. Open. Yeah. They never get me as excited as this one.
It's funny. I've started to feel a bit more. I've come around on the players just because it's first. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, I'm a little bit with the overrated on that one versus the majors. So I get it, but I like the other ones.
It's
better.
just the first thing to get really excited about in golf for the year. Like everything else is kind of a teaser. Then it's like, oh, everyone's playing the players.
Yeah, and depends if you go to live events like Waste Management or Honda or something. Like we've been to the Honda together. I've went to Waste Management a few times. So I'm going to the event. I'm just as excited too.
No,
so
absolutely.
That's the difference.
How do you guys feel about Go? We just did that one. What's the difference? What is the most different build that is not due? Balanced or stars and scrubs? Probably like if you just don't start in the 10Ks, it's not going to be uncommon, but it's far more likely to be contrarian, I would think, if you started with Spieth.
Yeah, if you're looking for contrarian lineups, use 2 8K guys. There you go.
Yeah. Why is Leishman cursed? Fella. Give your fucking head a shake, pal. What are your thoughts on JJ Spawn? He just won.
Yeah.
I'll take a hard pass on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
First career victory? Yeah. No, thank you. Although Connors did well after it, so who knows? Need to pick 2 of 4. Spieth, Cantlay, Xander, Brooks. For me, it would be Spieth and Cantlay, just based on ownership.
Brooks and I'd say Brooks and Cantlay, actually. Those are the 2 I like.
All right. With so much attention on Tiger, Spieth, JT, and Brooks, what percentage of lineups will have both Scheffler and Rahm? Very few.
Yeah, not many at all. I don't even know what that leaves you. It's like
probably 7K.
Yeah, don't fill it out with Young, Bobby Mack, and List.
You probably could get away with that.
You can do it. I'm just saying I think that's where some people will go with if that's their build. You're going to go build this lineup after now.
Why is Henley 35-1 on DK? What do they know? I don't know why he's 35 because I think they're trying to hedge against his top 5, top 10, top 20 bets.
I know what they don't know is how to make odds because that's a terrible number.
Yeah, it's just really weird. How do you guys feel about the Gooch? It's the same fucking guy.
Is it?
Fucking strangle you. Banned for life. Stop asking the same fucking question over and over. How do you... Actually, you can't now because you're banned for life. Sub to Mayo Media Network, by the way. Do you have any concerns about using Woodland? Yes.
I don't.
Will Superstars and Scrubs be more unique this week? No 9 or 8K guys. No, I don't think it's going to be that unique.
I think it'll be more unique than the other 2 styles that we talked about.
Love your content. Do you think that single entry DFS is worth taking 2 10K guys and then filling up with 7K guys? Sure.
I like it.
Try to pick 6 guys who do well, and then maybe you'll do well.
And it skips ranges, so you're naturally going to be different. So
I don't really worry about that.
I don't worry about it. Just it is prevalent when you go through and do your reviews and stuff and look at your lineups like I do. You see a lot of the times it's something as simple as like they didn't have the FOMO of sprinkling all the 9K guys in a single entry, and they just skipped it completely. And even if one comes through, they still have a good lineup.
Are you setting a limit on how many you can put in a lineup from 7K? Nah.
I'm not this week, actually. I think that's going to be another differentiator. Most people are going to set it to at most 1 6K guy below 7K, and I'm going to play multiple 6K guys in lineups.
How do you feel? Oh, it's a fucking Gooch guy. Banned.
How is he coming
I don't know. I think it's because it was just already in there. There, he's now banned for life for sure. There we go. It just updated. Does Louisiana star child Sam Burns win? No. Remember this comment if he does. I won't.
Oh, jeez. Threats, shots fired.
Nakajima to make the cut?
Yes. I like that bet, actually. I don't know what the number is that they're putting out there, but...
have we had a wellness check on Jeff since he was able to speak to Schefter? Guy was flustered. Such a cool interview. Shefty, familiar with the Ender curse now? We didn't really get into that too much with Adam Schefter. Although he did sign a $9 million a year deal the day after he appeared on the show.
Well, hopefully mine comes in tomorrow.
Raza got like the 400K or whatever he won when he appeared on the show. You're next.
That's good. This will be a good week to do it.
You have a 6-figure win already this year.
After getting onto the show.
After getting off the show.
Yeah, that's true.
Any thoughts on Ryan Palmer as a punt?
Nah.
Let's see. Tiger's old caddy won with Adam Scott in 2013. Yeah, Stevie Williams was on the bag. That's right.
There you go. Someone found one. I like it. That's a statement that will play because they found an answer for us. If you can find out about approach putting now, that would be great as we're now coining it.
Do you think that Adam Scott finishes in the top 10 this week? Yes.
I don't.
Answer was just hungover and needed to recover. That's the theory,
It's possible.
but we don't know that.
Yeah, it's very possible. It's one. I just don't think it's injury related because he's fine.
Why is no one mentioning Tyrrell Hatton to win besides us?
I think I bet him, and we
Yeah.
talked about it like 3 times
Yeah.
already.
Yeah,
I don't
thank-
have the timestamp in front of me.
Yeah.
We definitely mentioned those odds a few times.
Thanks for not listening.
Oh, other people got him at 95.
Why
We
is
talked about this.
nobody mentioning that you're not listening to this fucking show that we're talking about it? What's wrong with you? Do you have problems? Maybe you should log off and go seek help. That would be my advice. Thank you. Banned for life. Fuck off. Homa, Horschel finally have decent finishes in a major? Nah.
Maybe Horschel, not Homa.
Thoughts on list? Yes.
Not really.
Oh, this guy answered the guy's Hatton question, and no one cares about what you have to say about it because it was asked to Tambo and I. You're also banned for life. Zalatoris or Xander? Zalatoris.
I'll go Xander.
If you could combine 2 golfers for the Masters, who would it be? Cam Smith for putting and Rahm off the tee? Can you ask fucking practical questions?
We can't combine 2 guys.
Liston Hughes. There we go.
There you go.
How unique will a lineup with Xander, Cantlay, and Koepka all be? Not as unique as you think. All 3 of those guys are popular, and that's going to be a build people land on.
Yeah, somewhat. I think it'll be okay, but I don't think it's ideal.
Let's see. Bobby Mack or Woodland? Bobby Mack.
Bobby Mack, yep.
You are incorrect, Mayo. Joe LaCava was Freddie's caddy for the 92 win. Okay, great. You know what? That's not a question, so I'm going to ban you for life for making me look like an idiot. Sorry. Fuck off. Who do you think the lowest salary player with the highest win equity is?
That's kind of a good question. Let's see.
Siwoo.
Oh, man. Yeah, we'll go with him, I guess. I don't actually see a lot. I would go up higher in the ranges.
Let's see. Who did Cuss curse this week? You can rewind to the beginning. Does Cantlay go under 10%? Doubt it.
10 to 12.
Cam or Bobby Mack? Your Cam on Bobby Mack?
Yeah.
Who do you think will garner more chalk between Henley, Fitzpatrick, and Casey? It's Henley or Fitz because Casey's not going to be chalky.
I think it's Fitz.
I think it's Fitz as well. What are your guys' thoughts on Rory? Fade.
Yeah, I'm not high on Rory.
Tiger down from 56 to 1 to 46 to 1. Well, I hate when people put up those odds. I fucking hate it because they're including your bet in that. That's actually 55 and 45 to 1.
Yeah. It's also that's just what happens when people put money in on it, so the books are just moving the line. That's fine.
Now I have to scroll up to see if this guy asked the same note. Everyone's just asking Cameron Young or Luke. Like that range is.
I'm telling you, but this is the secret, and I'll have some of the range. I'm playing it. I'm just saying, and I like Cameron Young. I'm just telling you, either don't end on that range as your 6th man in, or play like just avoid it altogether in the lineups you're not using them. So even if you have 30% Cam Young, you've got 70% of your lineups. I would just not end on a 7K guy or right there.
Rahm, Brooks, a good starting combo for the $100 Millie Maker? I think so.
It's fine. That's definitely good.
You might want to get different somewhere.
You should get different elsewhere, but I'm saying that's like where you're eating the 2 chalk guys that are probably good and consistent, and then get different elsewhere.
Leishman or Henley? Henley. Berger or Burns? Burns. Am I crazy for leaving $1,500 on the table? I would say yes.
I think so. Here. I mean, I guess, listen, no. Only because what you said earlier, if you're going to build your Gooch lineup and drop it to Hoagie, sure, you technically left 2,000, but you're probably not playing Gooch, so it's not ideal anywhere else.
Thoughts on Tiger to make the cut? Did that. Cam Smith to win it all. I mean, you call him Scam Smith, so we're taking a pass.
I'm taking a pass, and if you get him at 18 to 1 or whatever, 14 to 1. If you got the early 30, congrats to you, or 40, whatever some got him at, but 18 or 14, no thank you.
14.
14.
That's
disgusting.
tough seeing.
Very, very
How does
sick.
Burns play in the win? That sounds like something you need to log on to fantasynational.com/Mayo in order to go find out right now. I'll get you 20% off as well. Which one causes more safety checks on DK players when he triples the first? Xander or Brooks?
Oof.
Can we ask real questions here?
Xander's more likely, I think, to come out just poorly. He's done it before. Memorial, places like that. Go shoot +8 in the first round and then battle back.
Do you have Paul with his finger on the banned button? I do. People should watch out for that. Thoughts on Seb Straka as a sleeper? No one's sleeping on Seb Straka. Mayo, will you bet the par 3? No. All right, I've had enough of this. Let's go to the bottom. Let's see what's going on here. The golf world's biggest fear, Cuss taking Tiger. He's not going to take Tiger. Cuss hates Tiger.
Yeah.
Why do you think Tiger's been so good all these years?
Yeah.
Have they said JT's ownership yet? At the very beginning, Higo 9 to 1 top South African. Would you place that bet? Probably not.
No.
63 on DraftKings is probably where I'll end up being. I'm playing cash because I'm lame. Is having Spieth as my highest price player okay, or should I rethink it? I think it's fine.
That's fine. Yeah.
Burns or Neiman?
Burns.
Burns for me. Does Bryson make Tambo's bomber lineup?
Don't think so. I would have to go back and look. I'm almost positive no, though. It might have made my injury lineup.
Yeah, I'm just not playing him.
Yeah, I don't like him here ever. And if I do have him, I'm going to take him out.
Why so rude about everyone's question? Because I like telling people to fuck off. Like you. Banned for life, asshole. Zalatoris and Young or Burns and Connor? Burns and Connors is pretty interesting.
That one I'll be on Zalatoris and Young.
Okay. Fading DJ with the bad headspace? I was fading him anyway. Now I just needed a reason.
Yeah, I was never super high. I kind of liked him that he was coming in off that the fourth place where he didn't care and gave it to Connors. But I can get off him very easily, and I'd just play more Rahm and JT and mix in a guy like Morikawa.
Straka or Varner as last guy? It sounds like you like Varner.
I like Varner. I got a feeling about him this week. At 6,600, I think he's definitely gonna go overlooked. I think, and just a good guy with 18th, 6th, and then the overseas win. That's 5 of his last 6 events, so I like that.
Is playing 4 8K guys skipping the 7 and 9 too thin for single entry?
I think
Probably. You probably leave too much win equity off the table.
Yeah, I think the win equity is 9K and up. So 2 or 3 8K guys, I think, could find its way to the top, but I don't think 4.
Should remind everyone to hit the description. I should probably make sure it's in the description right now. It is not. To go to fantasygolfchampionships.com and go play in the giant one and done. It starts at the Masters, 7 a.m. Eastern time lock time. It's $100 from now. Just $100 once. It goes from the Masters to the Open Championship. 1 pick per week, $10,000 to first place. fantasygolfchampionships.com. Go do that now. We're almost out of here. Rose or Leishman? I like Rose.
Rose.
Tambo, can we play Van Rooyen?
I don't like him. I think there's other options down there that you can go to, and he hasn't shown me anything. So
Fleetwood or Fitzpatrick? I like Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, Fitz.
And finally, do you like Connors this weekend? I do.
I've come off of him. I don't think I'm gonna play him at all in my $15 150 max. I've got him in some $100, but that's it.
Right. You're going live Thursday night?
Yep.
Going live Wednesday night?
I'm going live tonight, Thursday night, and probably Saturday night. There's a few more shows to go still.
Follow Tyler on Twitter at ToeTagAndTambo. You've already put out I love that thread article you do every week.
Yeah, it's good. It's helpful to me, too, because I get to go through and see it all. But there's some crazy little nuggets that people just don't pay enough attention to, I think, that can give you some ideas. And I've had guys say that they've used it to just build lineups of their own. If they're like their $100 for the week or something like that, it's completely free. Just retweet it for me. I appreciate it.
How many total lineups are you playing this week? 450?
250.
250?
And I'm going to play all uniques. So I'm going to put 100 in the $100 and 150 in the $15. $15, I'm just going wild. The $100, I'm doing like groups of 5 to 10 lineups and just messing around with them like as if I had sets, just to gamble it up a little bit in the $100 and then go all in the $15 to try and take this thing down.
I am going to play 50 lineups.
Okay.
This is where I'm at right now. But,
I
if there's still like availability when I wake up in the morning, because I'll be up early, all right, I might as well throw in a few more entries here.
75, get there
Yeah,
quick.
up it just a little bit. But fantasynational.com makes it so easy to make that many lineups. So fantasynational.com/Mayo in order to get that 20% off, plus the simulator, plus the ownership projections, all the stats you could ever look up. And it's so easy to use. Cannot recommend it more. fantasygolfchampionships.com. And if you want to win some Masters swag straight from Augusta National official gear, remember to rate, review, and subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast. If you leave that review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you are in that draw. Winners announced on Monday's show. Good luck at the Masters. The newsletter is coming out this evening, so go subscribe to that in the description right now for all the final plays, all the final cheat sheets, and some extra research as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.